Chapter 1508. At this moment, the people on the third floor were all stunned. They didn't expect so many people to come. But soon after, anger appeared on their faces. This was because they'd noticed that many of them were only one-star kings. They couldn't even reach the second floor. So how could they enter the third floor? Damn it! How did that guy guard the door? Why did he let in so many trash? Damn it! Who are you calling trash? Fatty Luo and the Crimson Dragon both jumped up. Of course I'm talking about you. You dare to enter the third floor with such strength? Although I don't know how you got in, I'll ask you to scram now. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. A young man in a blue robe stood up. He was quite handsome, but his eyes were very cold, making people uncomfortable. You're only a mid-stage two-star king, and you dare to talk big in front of me? Fatty Luo snorted disdainfully. Come, come, come. Ben Huang will teach you how to behave. The Crimson Dragon also gnashed his teeth. Like Lin Xian, his strength couldn't be judged by his cultivation. Lin Xian glanced at the people in front of him and then revealed a trace of surprise. He found that these people were all very powerful. The weakest among them was a mid-stage two-star king, and there were a few late-stage two-star kings. There were even one or two whose cultivation he couldn't see clearly. Thinking about it, they should be even stronger. However, so what if their cultivation was strong? He wasn't afraid of trouble. Since these people dared to provoke him, he naturally had to fight back. How did you get in? Of course, I fought my way up. Don't you know the rules here? Lin Xian looked around, not backing down at all. Before coming to the true spirit world, he already knew that this was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. Moreover, he had personally experienced it these few days. Therefore, in this place, he had to be strong and couldn't show any weakness, because the weak were bullied and looked down upon. Only the strong could make people respect and fear them. Therefore, Lin Xian's attitude had been very decisive after coming to the true spirit world. Humph, do you think the few of them can pass? The blue-robed man snorted disdainfully. Whether I can or not, you'll know once you try. Lin Xian took a step forward, a fierce aura emanating from his body. So strong! The people on the other side were shocked. They didn't think that Lin Xian could release such a terrifying aura. Although he was only a one-star king, his strength had most likely surpassed the one-star king realm and reached the two-star king realm. Not bad indeed. No wonder you can come up here. At this moment, a cold voice sounded from the front. Lin Xian looked in the direction of the voice and was slightly surprised. It was a graceful figure, sitting there quietly. She was very beautiful, but there was a cold aura around her. It was as if nothing could catch her eye. Even Lin Xian, she only glanced at him. The woman continued, however, by forcefully bringing them here, you've broken the rules. This is not good for them. Another handsome man in a red robe also spoke. Different strengths have different circles. They haven't reached that level yet, so they don't have the right to enter this circle. So let them go down quickly. The other party's voice was very calm, but there was an irresistible command in it. However, Lin Xian sneered. Rules are set by people, so they naturally change according to people. There's nothing wrong with this. As for what happens in the future, you don't have to worry about it. Hearing this, the cold woman frowned, but didn't say anything. The red-robed man snorted. Obviously, he was very dissatisfied with Lin Xian's attitude. However, perhaps due to his status, he didn't attack. However, the blue-robed man who had been hooting earlier sneered. Brat, you're too arrogant. This isn't a place for you to be so presumptuous. Is that so? Let's see what right you have to teach me a lesson. Lin Xian's eyes narrowed and flashed with a cold light. Then he strode toward the blue-robed man. You dare to attack me? You're courting death. The blue-robed man was furious and quickly counterattacked. The others also frowned. However, they didn't stop him because they also wanted to dampen Lin Xian's spirit. Brat, you're too arrogant. Today, I'll teach you how to behave properly. The blue-robed man sneered and pointed with his finger. Suddenly, a ray of blue light surged out. It was extremely terrifying and quickly pierced toward Lin Xian. This sword qi was ocean blue and carried a terrifying power. Even an early-stage two-star king couldn't resist it. Although the blue-robed man was arrogant, his strength was extremely powerful. He had even surpassed the black-robed martial artist who had been guarding the door. Lin Xian, be careful! Murong Qingqing and the others behind him were concerned. On the other hand, the people on the other side were watching with cold smiles. Lin Xian's expression was calm. He looked at the ocean blue sword qi and quickly attacked. He slowly raised his palm and pushed it out. What? He dares to resist with his bare hands? He's really courting death. The people opposite him sneered disdainfully. Although Bai Shan is only an intermediate stage two-star king, his strength is indeed powerful. Especially his true martial sword qi, it's extremely powerful. There are very few opponents in the same level as him. This guy dares to resist with his bare hands? He's really courting death. Everyone sneered, thinking that Lin Xian was doomed. However, in the next moment, their expressions froze. Even the cold and haughty woman let out a soft cry of surprise. This was because in Lin Xian's hand, countless rays of green light surged and flashed rapidly. They formed a green vortex and blasted forward. Suddenly, the true martial sword qi encountered the vortex and quickly disintegrated. Then it turned into spiritual qi and was absorbed by the green vortex. What? He broke it? How is that possible? Everyone was shocked. The blue-robed young man, Bai Shan, was also shocked. Impossible. How could you break my true martial sword qi? He was too shocked. One had to know that his true martial sword qi was an intermediate grade earth-class martial art. It was very powerful. Very few people in the same level as him were his match. However, before he could react, Lin Xian clenched his fist and slashed out a green sword qi. Damn it! Seeing this sword qi, the blue-robed young man's face changed drastically. The pupils of the few people around him shrank. This sword qi was too terrifying. It was much more powerful than the sword qi that the blue-robed young man had shot out. Humph! The blue-robed young man snorted. With a shake of his hand, he took out an ancient shield to resist. However, this shield was not formed by spiritual qi. It was a treasure. This was a half-earth-class treasure. Its power was very terrifying. In fact, in the true spirit world, earth-class treasures were rare. Although there were more of them than in the Tianwu continent, they were still in the hands of the top forces. However, this half-Earth-class treasure's power was several times stronger than the ones in the Tianwu continent. After all, the martial arts here were very developed. The quality was naturally much better. After summoning the ancient shield, the blue-robed young man breathed a sigh of relief. Obviously, he was very confident in his defense. However, in the next moment, he screamed. Chapter 1509. That was because Lin Xian's green sword aura had cut his shield in half when it hit him. Then, the sword aura had landed on his body. Fortunately, he was still wearing an inner armor, which blocked the sword qi and prevented him from being cut in half. However, the terrifying power contained in the sword qi still sent him flying. Rumble! The blue-clothed youth was sent flying. What? Bai Shan lost. The surrounding kings were shocked. They didn't expect Bai Shan to be defeated, and in one move at that. Who on earth was the other party to have such strength? However, they knew all the geniuses in the Dexian Empire, and there was no such person. Could it be that he was from another country? They were puzzled and stared at Lin Xian with unfriendly expressions. Among them, there were even two with explosive tempers who stood up and wanted to attack. At this moment, the aloof woman spoke up. All right, stop fighting. He's right. Rules are set by people, and he indeed has the ability to change the rules. Let's forget about it this time. Hearing this, Everyone was even more shocked than when they saw Bai Shan lose, because they knew the identity of the cold woman. They didn't expect that even she would speak, so they naturally couldn't attack. Thus, they could only snort coldly. The cold woman raised her head again and looked at Lin Xian. "What's your name? Where are you from?" "Lin Xian. As for where I came from, I'm afraid you wouldn't know even if I told you." "Lin Xian," the kings on the other side whispered, clearly wanting to remember this name. At this moment, Fatty Luo also walked up and said with a smile, "Not fighting? Then let's sit down and have a chat. How about it? And who are you?" One of them asked coldly. Obviously, the other party was Lin Xian's companion, so they naturally wouldn't be polite. Fatty Luo said proudly, "My surname is Luo." Surname Luo? Lin Xian was also puzzled when he heard this, because this wasn't the first time Fatty Luo had said this, but those people before didn't react. In fact, many people were also puzzled this time. That was because they didn't know that the Xian Empire had a Luo family that was extremely powerful. However, the cold woman frowned slightly, and then she seemed to have thought of something. "What's your relationship with Luo Badeo?" He, take a guess," Fatty Luo said with a grin, refusing to answer. However, the expression on his face was one of extreme pride. Seeing this scene, the cold woman's expression became even more serious. As for the surrounding people, they were all shocked. "What? Luo Badeo? It can't be, right? He can't really be related to Luo Badeo, right? Stop joking. How could such a peerless figure come here? Moreover, he only has a 2-star king tier by his side. His status doesn't match the card game." The group of people discussed animatedly. They were very confused, but Fatty Luo didn't explain at all. Instead, he sat down casually. Afterwards, Lin Xian and the others all sat down. At this moment, Fatty Luo spoke again. "I've heard that Fairy Chuyu's skills are unparalleled. I wonder if I'll be able to broaden my horizons this time?" Oh, you know me? This time, it was the cold woman's turn to be surprised. Of course. Why else would I be here? Hearing this, Lin Xian also raised his eyebrows. He knew that this cold woman in front of him was very likely the Danzong disciple. Chu Yu nodded slightly. Then, with a flip of her jade-like hand, a few exquisite jade bottles appeared. Inside them was a resplendent liquid. Then, she poured a few drops into the 4-beast soup. Instantly, a rich aroma quickly wafted out. Not only that, but there was even a sparkling light enveloping it. Fragrant. Is this the exquisite liquid? It's really amazing. Fatty Luo was excited. Brother Lin, this exquisite liquid is very special. It's made from 50 types of precious spiritual herbs. It's very wonderful when paired with this 4-beast soup. Moreover, the energy contained in it is extremely terrifying. It can even increase the cultivation of a king tier. So amazing? Lin Xian was shocked. The others were also envious. However, Chu Yu only made 2 bowls and stopped. It was obvious that this exquisite liquid was extremely precious. Even she was not willing to use too much of it. "Haha, brother, I won't stand on ceremony." Fatty Luo reacted quickly and snatched a bowl. When the others saw this, they were extremely envious. However, no one dared to snatch it because Fatty Luo's identity was too suspicious. Although they did not believe that Fatty Luo was related to the legendary Luo Badeo, they did not dare to make a move. If it was true, they would be dead. Therefore, they had their eyes on the other bowl. However, in the next moment, the king's faces turned green because the other bowl was picked up by Lin Xian. "You're courting death." "How dare you? Kid, put it down." Cold shouts were heard one after another. It was obvious that they had no qualms about Lin Xian. With a cold snort, 2 people immediately attacked. The auras of these 2 kings were even more powerful than the man in blue from before. Both of them attacked as fast as lightning and showed no mercy. Suddenly, The void trembled and runes flickered. The light quickly enveloped Lin Xian. "Get lost!" Lin Xian shouted coldly and attacked quickly as well, like an azure dragon emerging from the sea. Lin Xian was extremely powerful. He threw out 2 consecutive palms and quickly exchanged blows with the 2 kings. Bang! Bang! A low sound was heard, causing the void to tremble rapidly. If it were not for the fact that there were many kings here, the entire building would have been destroyed. Even so, cracks appeared in the void. 2 screams were heard. The 2 kings who attacked earlier quickly retreated, their expressions extremely ugly. It was obvious that they had suffered a loss at Lin Xian's hands. D***MN impossible. How can he be so strong? The 2 kings were shocked and doubtful. They looked at Lin Xian and gritted their teeth, but they did not dare to attack again. Just now, the 2 of them had attacked with all their might. They were only short of using their king domain, but even so, they were unable to defeat Lin Xian. It was hard for them to believe. After quickly repelling the 2 kings, Lin Xian looked around. "If anyone else is not convinced, you can come out now. Otherwise, you won't have a chance." His voice was very confident. "Kid, you are too arrogant. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you can defeat a 2-star king. This is not a place where you can be presumptuous." A dignified voice rang out. It was filled with a strong sense of warning and terrifying pressure. Many kings were shocked when they heard this. This was because the person who spoke was a 2-star king. Although there was only a difference of 1 word between the 2, the difference in power was like heaven and earth. Judging from the reactions of the middle stage 2-star kings, it was clear how powerful the King Realm Cultivator was. It was a young man in a red robe. He looked coldly at Lin Xian. "Put down that bowl of soup, and I will not touch you. Otherwise, you will not be able to bear the consequences." Chapter 1510. He with Hai Wuxin here, that kid is dead for sure. That's for sure. Hai Wuxin is a late-stage 2-star king. He's terrifyingly strong. No matter how strong that kid is, he won't be able to stop him. Let's see how he's going to die. Daring to go against us, this is his fate. The kings who had been at a disadvantage earlier were gloating. It was obvious that they were very confident in that red-robed man. "Who are you? You dare to stop me?" Lin Xian frowned. "What I want is something you can touch. If you don't like it, you can fight. Don't talk big." Lin Xian was not afraid at all. Good. Kid, it seems like you don't know what's good for you." Hai Wuxin was truly angry. According to cultivation, I wouldn't want to bully you, but since you don't know what's good for you, I can only suppress you, Hai Wuxin said coldly. "You talk too much." Lin Xian sneered. He picked up the bowl of soup and handed it to Murong Qingqing and the others. "Try it. It should taste good." Seeing this, Hai Wuxin's face immediately darkened. The other party had not listened to his warning and dared to snatch what he wanted in front of everyone. He was courting death. In the next moment, he attacked mercilessly. A large blue hand, like a star, quickly reached out and grabbed at Lin Xian. The blue hand glowed brightly with a terrifying aura. In an instant, cracks appeared in the void around Lin Xian. Horrifying, it was too horrifying. A late-stage 2-star king was far stronger than a mid-stage 2-star king. This power could even easily kill a mid-stage 2-star king. No wonder Hai Wuxin was so confident. It was indeed terrifying. There were probably not many people present who could subdue him. The surrounding kings paled as they watched this scene, their hearts thumping. On the other hand, Lin Xian's side was abnormally quiet. This was because Lin Xian had already opened his dragon sword domain and enveloped Murong Qingqing and the others. No matter how terrifying the blue hand was, it was unable to shake his dragon sword domain. Without any worries, Lin Xian no longer hesitated and quickly threw out a punch. With a punch, the void trembled. His arm was like a dragon as it soared into the sky. It quickly traversed through the void and violently collided with the blue palm. Boom! Instantly, the entire void started to tremble. That terrifying aura caused the surrounding kings to go pale and their bodies to tremble. Hai Wuxin's expression changed when he felt the power of this punch. Suddenly he roared angrily, and his eyes shone with a sharp light. His aura rose once again. It was obvious that he was going to use his full strength. However, Lin Xian didn't give him a chance. With a low growl, an enormous amount of power gushed out from his body and poured into his fist. Immediately, a dazzling fist emitted a resplendent green light and fiercely punched out. Boom! Puff! Hai Wuxin couldn't take it at all. His blue hand instantly cracked and he flew backwards. Blood sprayed into the sky. Time seemed to stop at that moment. Only Hai Wuxin's figure could be seen flying backwards. Everyone was stunned. Even Chu Yu, who had always been cold and aloof, was extremely shocked, because no one had expected Lin Xian to be able to send Hai Wuxin flying with one punch. One had to know that Hai Wuxin was already a late-stage 2-star king. His strength was extremely terrifying. The only person here who could win against him was probably Fairy Chuyu. But now he had been sent flying by a 1-star king. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she wouldn't have believed it. How is it? Do I have the right to drink this bowl of soup? Lin Xian's lips curled up slightly as he spoke coldly. You. Hai Wuxin fell to the ground, trembling with anger. He felt his chest tighten, and his entire arm couldn't feel. That punch just now was too terrifying. It had almost crippled his arm. When he heard Lin Xian's voice, he was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. Shameful, this was too shameful. To think that he, a late-stage 2-star king, couldn't beat a 1-star king. Moreover, he had been defeated in front of so many people. This made him want to die. On the side, Fairy Chu Yu's expression was grave. She asked seriously, "Who are you?" Lin Xian smiled. "I told you, my name is Lin Xian." Chu Yu continued to ask, "Which sect are you from?" Lin Xian said, "I'm not from any sect, but I want to join Danzong." Chu Yu was stunned. "What? You want to join Danzong?" To tell the truth, she was too shocked. She didn't expect Lin Xian to make such a request at this time. At this time, Fatty Luo also whispered, "Yeah, that's why I brought him here." "How is it? Do you think my brother is okay?" On the side, Morong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, and Luo Bingshan all took a small sip of the soup and then handed it to Lin Xian. Lin Xian laughed and took a big gulp. Then he said, "Delicious." Chu Yu blinked. She suddenly felt that this young man in front of her was very interesting. Thus she smiled and said, "With your skills, joining Danzong is too easy. But I'm curious, what's the use of learning alchemy at your age? You should know that as long as you have the strength and money, you can buy any alchemy pill." After hearing this, Lin Xian smiled and said, "You're wrong this time. I'm an alchemist." "Oh, you're an alchemist?" Chu Yu was surprised. To tell the truth, before this, she didn't see any signs of Lin Xian being an alchemist. However, she also knew that there were many strange people in the true spirit world. It wasn't impossible for him to be an alchemist. However, since he was an alchemist, he definitely had a master's legacy. But why did he want to join Danzong? This made her have no choice but to be suspicious, and she even secretly became vigilant in her heart. "Give me a reason," Chu Yu asked in a low voice. Lin Xian smiled and said, "It's very simple. Although I'm an alchemist, I'm not invincible. Danzong has something I want. For example, better alchemy recipes and better resources." What he said wasn't wrong, but it wasn't his main goal. His main goal was to fulfill Niwa of Gojoseon's wish. Of course, he wouldn't tell her about this, because he didn't know how many enemies Niwa of Gojoseon had. All of this would have to wait until he entered Danzong. After hearing Lin Xian's words, Chu fell into deep thought and didn't say anything. The others couldn't say anything either, because Lin Xian's strength had already stunned them all. For a moment, the entire third floor was silent. Even the air was a little stuffy. There was only the sound of Fatty Luo happily drinking his soup, and the sound of the crimson dragon and the snow-white monkey fighting over food. Chu Yu thought for a moment, then said, "I can indeed recommend you to join Danzong, but I have a condition." Lin Xian asked, "Oh, condition? What condition?" Chapter 1511. Chu Yu thought for a moment, then said, "I can indeed recommend you to join the Danzong, but I have a condition." Lin Xian asked, "Oh, condition? What condition?" "Do me a favor. There's a martial arts competition in the Great Xian Empire soon, and I want you to participate." Lin Xian was puzzled. "Participate in the martial arts competition?" Chu Yu said, "Yes, participate in the martial arts competition. Actually, I invited these people here for the same reason. This martial arts competition in the Great Xian Empire concerns the distribution of strength among the princes and princesses. As a good friend of Princess Kai Dai, I naturally have to help her recruit some prodigies to participate. They're all candidates, and among them, Hai Wuxin is someone I've taken a liking to. But I didn't expect him to be so weak that he lost to you in one move." Speaking up to here, Chu Yu coldly glanced at Hai Wuxin. Instantly, Hai Wuxin's face darkened, and he wished he could find a hole to hide in. "Since you defeated him and displayed such strength, you're a suitable candidate. If you can agree to my condition and fight for Princess Kai Dai, I'll help you apply to join the Danzong. Trust me, with my strength, I can definitely get you to join the Danzong. However, it all depends on your performance." Lin Xian shrugged. "Participate in the martial arts competition? That's simple. I thought it was something else. Okay, I agree to your condition. Although your strength is beyond my expectations, I still have to remind you that there are countless experts in the Great Xian Empire, and there are many prodigies in the younger generation. There are even many 3-star king level prodigies participating, so you better be careful." "I know." Lin Xian nodded. Afterwards, Lin Xian and the others left, because he'd already asked clearly. The martial arts competition in the Great Xian Empire would be held in the Imperial City. There was still more than a month left, so Lin Xian planned to immediately leave for the Great Xian Empire's Imperial City. Fatty Luo came out as well. He looked at Lin Xian and said with a smile, "Hee, brother, I didn't expect that we would end up together again." Lin Xian asked curiously, "Why? Are you also participating in this martial arts conference?" "It is indeed related to the martial arts conference, but I am not here to participate in the martial arts conference. I am here for another matter." "What is it?" "Of course it's to open a gambling house. An opportunity like the martial arts competition is naturally a good opportunity to make money." Fatty Luo smiled. "But I'm going to see another old friend right now, so I can't go to the Imperial City with you. Don't worry about it. Go do what you need to do," Lin Xian said. "Then I'll see you in the Imperial City," Fatty Luo said with a smile. But then he reminded him in a low voice, "Brother, let me give you a piece of advice. The 3 women you brought are really too eye-catching. It's fine if you're from the younger generation, but if you're targeted by some old monster, it'll be hard for you to escape. If you really came from overseas, why don't you let them join a sect? This way, their safety will be protected. There are many places in the Xian Empire that have training grounds set up by the various large sections. You can test a cultivator's aptitude there. Why don't you go there and give it a try?" "That's good too." Lin Xian nodded. He indeed had to consider this matter, because he would be joining the Danzong soon, and Morong Qingqing and the others were not alchemists. So it was obviously impossible for them to join the Danzong. He had to arrange a place for them so that he could be at ease and do other things. Morong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, and the others naturally knew about this matter, so they all nodded in agreement. The group bade farewell to Fatty Luo and quickly set off. Lin Xian and the others set off for the imperial city. But on the way, they had to go to Tsangyue City first. There was a training ground there that could test a cultivator's aptitude. It was a good opportunity for Morong Qingqing and the others to test themselves so that they could join a good sect. Not long after Lin Xian and the others left, the Zhao family also received the news. Because the Zhao family was behind the Iron Fist pirates, and Lin Xian had crippled all the kings of the Iron Fist pirates in public, the Zhao family was naturally infuriated. They had sent experts to capture Lin Xian and the others, but they did not expect Lin Xian and the others to leave in advance. The Zhao family experts were furious that they missed, but they would not give up and quickly chased after them. Since they dared to provoke the Zhao family, they had to tear them into pieces. This time, the Zhao family had sent out 3 late-stage 2-star king tiers. In addition, there were many mid-stage and 1-star kings. It was very terrifying. It seemed that the Zhao family was determined to kill Lin Xian and the others. They quickly gathered information and finally confirmed that Lin Xian and the others were heading to Tsangyue City. Instantly, the 3 late-stage 2-star kings sneered. No matter where you run to, you can't escape from the Zhao family. Let's go to Tsangyue City and kill that kid. Then the kings of the Zhao family quickly flew to Tsangyue City. Tsangyue City was very prosperous and there were many martial artists because of the Tsangyue dojo. This dojo could test a martial artist's aptitude, and the results of the test would be sent to the various major sections. Once an outstanding genius was discovered, the various major sects would send people to receive them. It could be said that this was a very good method to select geniuses. And this method also provided many talented martial artists to the major sections. It was said that there were even people who passed this test and entered the legendary sacred grounds. Of course, that was a long time ago. In the past few hundred years, there were not many people who could enter the sacred grounds from the Tsangyue dojo. The best ones could only enter the subsidiary sects of the sacred grounds. However, this did not affect the enthusiasm of the crowd. Lin Xian and the others landed in Tsangyue City and rushed to the Tsangyue Square. Hey, too, which sects do you think they can enter? Lin Xian asked. He had already put away the black earth vessel, but He Tu had turned into a small dagger and was inserted into his hair like a hairpin. Hearing the voice transmission, He Tu slowly said, "It's hard to say. I haven't tested them, but at least it's a subsidiary sect of the sacred grounds. As for whether they can enter the sacred grounds, it will depend on their luck." Hearing He Tu's voice transmission, Lin Xian nodded. Not bad. It was better than he had expected. This was because even if he went to Danzong in the future, it would only be a subsidiary sect of the sacred grounds. With Murong Qingqing and Shan Jingqiu's bloodline power, the sect they entered would definitely not be worse than Danzong. The arrival of Lin Xian and the others caused quite a stir. After all, the effect of the beauties was too shocking. Many people looked at Murong Qingqing and the others and drooled. There were even a few who thought that they were more handsome and wanted to strike up a conversation. However, they were scared away by Lin Xian. This was his woman, and he wouldn't allow anyone to steal her away. Chapter 1512. The group stopped at the Blue Moon Plaza, but they didn't immediately go up to test their talent, because they didn't know how to do it. There had never been such a thing in the Sky Martial Continent, but after looking for a while, they understood. The test was very simple. There were a few colorful light pillars in front of them. They just had to place their hands on them and activate them. The colorful light pillars were divided into 10 areas. The more light one activated, the higher the talent. As for the theory behind it, Lin Xian and the others didn't know. But according to He Tu's introduction, these light pillars were created by the sacred grounds. They were incomparably mysterious. After looking for a while, Lin Xian found that the Xian Empire wasn't as terrifying as he had imagined. Although there were many kings and geniuses, There probably weren't any monstrous geniuses. This was normal. Even if there were, they would have been taken away by the sacred grounds. They were the true overlords of the true spirit world. Buzz, a youth in his 20s, walked up and activated the light pillars. He only emitted 5 rays. Immediately, the crowd cried out in surprise, because this was already considered a very good genius. Ordinary warriors could only activate 2 or 3 rays. As for the better geniuses, they could only activate 3 or 4. Activating 5 rays could be considered good among the geniuses. Soon, the youth stood to the side excitedly. He knew that someone would definitely come to pick him up. After him, another girl around the age of 18 or 19 stepped forward. This girl's face was delicate, and her eyebrows were like willow leaves. She carried a fragrance with her as she walked. Her small hands were placed on the light pillars. Then 7 rays lit up. Heavens, are my eyes playing tricks on me? She actually activated 7 rays. Genius, she's a peak genius. It's been a long time since such a genius appeared. She can definitely enter the subsidiary sects of the sacred grounds. At this moment, countless warriors were gathered in the Blue Moon Plaza. Seeing the scene, they all cried out in surprise and looked at the beautiful girl with envy. The young girl also raised her delicate little face, her expression filled with arrogance. He was like a little princess, surrounded by countless young martial artists. There was no helping it. This was too shocking. 5 rays was already considered a very good genius. 7 rays was definitely a peak genius. She could definitely enter the subsidiary sections. But to enter the sacred grounds, she was still far from it. It was said that in order to enter the Holy Land, one needed at least 10 rays of light. However, this was too difficult. Not to mention 10 rays of light. Even 8 rays of light were rarely seen. Therefore, the fact that the young girl was able to produce 7 rays of light was already a very impressive feat. After that girl, many other warriors went to take the test. However, there were no more shocking geniuses. The best one was only able to light up 6 rays of light. Seeing this scene, the girl from before became even more complacent. She raised her chin high, as if she didn't put anyone in her eyes. "Qing Cheng, go and give it a try." At this moment, Lin Xian said with a smile, "Okay." Morong Qing Cheng smiled and nodded. She then let go of Lin Xian's hand and walked forward. Instantly, everyone's attention was drawn to her. It couldn't be helped. Morong Qing Cheng was too beautiful. She had a graceful figure and a beautiful face. Coupled with her temperament, she was like a fairy that had descended to the mortal world. Nothing could be more beautiful, although that girl from before was also very pretty compared to Morong Qing Cheng. She seemed to be overshadowed. So beautiful. Who is she? When did such a beauty appear in the great Xian Empire? How come I didn't know? F***CK. Too beautiful. Not to mention her talent. Her beauty alone is unparalleled in the world. Cries of surprise rang out. The eyes of the male warriors all lit up. Even some of the female warriors were amazed. The arrogant girl from before snorted coldly, extremely displeased. She was originally the pride of the heavens and the focus of everyone's attention. However, with Morong Qing Cheng's appearance, everyone's attention was snatched away. No one was paying attention to her. Everyone's attention was on Morong Qing Cheng. How could the arrogant girl stand this? However, although her expression was ugly, she had to admit that the other party was too beautiful. She couldn't compare to her in terms of looks. She could only grit her teeth and snort softly. Just a vase. Under the gazes of everyone, Morong Qing Cheng slowly walked to the light pillar. Then, she placed her delicate little hand on the light pillar. Everyone held their breaths and watched carefully. Even Lin Xian couldn't help but feel nervous. That was because this test would determine which faction Morong Qing Cheng would eventually enter. The light pillar in front reacted and flickered rapidly. 1 light, 2 light, 3 light rays. Soon, 5 light rays lit up. 5 light rays. Not bad. She's already considered a very good genius. That's right. Coupled with her beauty, I'm afraid that her status in the faction will definitely increase greatly. Many people chatted and discussed animatedly. The arrogant girl from before snorted lightly, her eyes full of disdain. 5 light rays. 2 light rays less than hers. This meant that the other party's talent was inferior to hers. Humph. So what if she's beautiful? Her talent is inferior to mine. It's useless, the arrogant girl said proudly. However, in the next moment, she was stunned. She even widened her eyes in disbelief. That was because after the 5 light rays in front of her, the 6th light did not disappear. What? There's more. Everyone was shocked and looked ahead in disbelief. 6 light rays. She was already considered a top genius. They did not expect that the beautiful girl would have such good talent. However, in the next moment, they screamed again because they saw the 7th light ray. Heavens, what did I just see? The 7th light ray. It's another top genius with 7 light rays. Shocking, it was too shocking. That beautiful girl's talent was actually so high. She was a prodigy. Not only was she beautiful, but her talent was also top-notch. Cries of surprise sounded one after another. Everyone looked ahead enviously. Obviously, 7 light rays were already considered a top genius. With such talent, she could still enter the affiliated faction of the Sacred Ground. Everyone cried out in surprise, but the arrogant girl from before was gnashing her teeth. Her beautiful eyes were filled with malice. Damn it, how is that possible? How could she have triggered 7 light rays? Cheating. She must be cheating. The arrogant girl was really angry. Previously, she had said that the other party was a flower vase, but now the other party had triggered 7 light rays. The other party's talent was the same as hers. Wasn't that a slap to her face? Moreover, what made her even angrier was that the other party was prettier than her. As a woman, she absolutely could not tolerate that. Therefore, she stared at the beautiful figure in front of her with a cold, murderous intent in her eyes. Chapter 1513. What infuriated her even more was that the other party was prettier than her. As a woman, she could not tolerate this. Therefore, she stared at the beautiful figure in front of her with a murderous look in her eyes. Only she could become one of the top geniuses. No one else was qualified to stand beside her. Miss, I'll take care of her. Seeing the arrogant girl's expression, the 2 middle-aged women beside her quickly said. Then, they drew their swords and charged forward like ghosts. Things were precious when they were rare. A genius with 7 rays of light was already enough. Another genius would only lower the value of a genius. Therefore, for the sake of the arrogant girl's status, they had to kill Murong Qingqing. The attack was very sudden. 2 rays of cold light pierced towards Murong Qingqing like poisonous snakes. Not only that, the 2 rays of light were aimed at Murong Qingqing's vital points. What? Someone attacked! Seeing this scene, the crowd was shocked. They could not believe that someone dared to attack Murong Qingqing. Murong Qingqing was a genius with 7 rays of light. She was already considered a disciple of a subsidiary sect. Who would dare to attack her at this time? However, things still happened. Murong Qingqing's expression changed. She had activated 7 rays of light, and a smile appeared on her beautiful face. However, the sudden killing intent caused her expression to darken again. She was not a flower vase. She was extremely talented and powerful. She was one of the top geniuses in the Tianwu continent. Although she was not used to coming to the quintessential world, she was not someone who could be assassinated so easily. With a shout, Murong Qingqing quickly counterattacked. She waved her hands, and 2 purple palms flew out in an instant. Bang! Bang! 2 shocking sounds were heard. Then the purple palms slammed into the 2 rays of cold light, causing them to retreat. Whoosh! The crowd exclaimed. They did not expect that someone would dare to fight in the Tsangyue Square. It was too bold. Sister Morong! Xun Jingqiu called out anxiously from afar. Lin Xian's expression darkened, and a murderous look appeared in his eyes. He did not expect that someone would dare to assassinate Morong Qingcheng. This person was definitely courting death. Shaking his body, Lin Xian arrived next to Morong Qingcheng in the next second. "Are you all right?" he asked nervously. "I'm fine." Morong Qingcheng shook his head, but he didn't look too good either. That was because she had rarely encountered such an assassination attempt. On the martial heaven continent, she was a heavenly daughter. Everyone could only look up to her. But after coming to this vast, true spirit world, things changed in an instant. She was no longer that high and mighty princess, nor did she have the strength to crush everything. She was just an ordinary king. Therefore, she was very interested in this test because she wanted to use this opportunity to enter a good sect and strengthen her own strength. As Lin Xian's woman, she didn't want to be a burden, let alone a vase. She didn't do anything wrong, but the other party wanted to kill her? This made her extremely furious. However, what made her even angrier was that the two figures in the sky who had been pushed back by the purple palm attacked again. It seemed that if they did not kill Morong Qingcheng, they would not give up easily. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly, and a murderous look appeared in his eyes. The other party was too despicable. They actually attacked again and again, completely disregarding him. In the next moment, he attacked as well. A golden sky rock flew out from his palm, covering the sky and circling in the sky. Its terrifying claws tore through the void like two golden mountains, grabbing at the two figures in the sky. "You're courting death!" The two middle-aged women waved the sharp swords in their hands, creating a shocking rainbow. However, in front of the golden sky rock it was useless. Crack! Crack! All the sword chi broke in an instant, but the sky rock's sharp claws were still descending rapidly. Poof! Poof! In the next moment, the two middle-aged women were caught and nailed firmly in the void. Ah! The two of them screamed, and their expressions were full of fear. They couldn't believe that someone would dare to subdue them in an instant. Time seemed to have stopped. The golden sky rock circled in the sky, and its feet stepped on the two middle-aged women. The two middle-aged women fought back with all their might, but they couldn't move it at all. Instead, they were hit by the rebound force, and their blood was in turmoil. Their bones were trembling. "Kid, how dare you touch me? You're dead meat." The two middle-aged women looked down fiercely. They saw a handsome man standing in front of Morong Qingcheng. The golden sky rock had come from the handsome man's hand. "Are you threatening me?" Lin Xian sneered. "You're just two slaves. How dare you threaten me? You must be tired of living." "What did you say?" The middle-aged woman screamed. "Are you deaf? I said you're a slave. From the looks of it, you must have been ordered to come out by someone. Tell me, who gave you the idea?" At this moment, the crowd was shocked. They didn't expect a battle to take place in Tsangyue Square. Moreover, they didn't expect Morong Qingcheng to be unscathed. Not only that, but a handsome young man with a strong aura had appeared. In an instant, everyone was watching anxiously. "Who do you think you are? How dare you question us?" One of the middle-aged women snorted. "Kid, let us go if you know what's good for you. Otherwise, I'll kill you. You must be tired of living." Lin Xian sneered, then waved his hand. Suddenly, the golden sky rock in the sky shone brightly. Bang! In the next moment, one of the middle-aged women was crushed by the golden sky rock, turning into a bloody mist that splattered in all directions. What? She was killed! The crowd was shocked and couldn't believe it. That was a one-star king. How could she be killed so easily? Who exactly was this handsome young man? How could he be so powerful? In the sky, the other surviving middle-aged woman screamed. That was because the blood of her companions had sprayed all over her face. Frightening, it was too frightening. She didn't expect that the other party would dare to attack her. Was he not afraid of revenge? In the next moment, she looked down. However, when she saw the cold light in Lin Xian's eyes, her whole body trembled. That gaze was too terrifying. It was as if it could kill her instantly. At this moment, the middle-aged woman couldn't care less. She screamed, "Miss, save me!" Humph! Below, the arrogant young woman's face was cold. She had sent 2 of her subordinates to kill Morong Qingcheng. She thought it would be a piece of cake. However, she didn't expect that there would be a change. Moreover, one of her subordinates was killed in an instant. She couldn't accept that. "How dare you?" "Let go of my men." The arrogant young woman raised her chin and looked down at Lin Xian. Chapter 1514. "So it was you." Lin Xian looked at the arrogant girl with a cold, killing intent in his eyes. He had long suspected her because no one else had a reason to attack. There was only one person who had a reason to attack, and that was the arrogant girl who had also activated 7 rays of light. Now it seemed that it was indeed so. What? She was the one who attacked? Seeing the arrogant girl, the crowd exclaimed. They didn't expect her to be another top prodigy. It seemed that this matter was going to be troublesome. Wasn't she the second miss of the Dong clan? Someone exclaimed. What? The Dong clan? The crowd exclaimed. The Dong clan was a large clan in the Dacian Empire and was very powerful. For a moment, everyone exclaimed again and again as they looked at the arrogant girl with shock. Hearing the exclamations, the arrogant girl Dong Qian became even more proud. Like a proud peacock, she raised her chin high and said coldly, "Did you hear that? You won't have a good ending if you offend my Dong clan. I won't make things difficult for you. Release my people and kneel down to apologize to me, and I'll let you leave. Otherwise, I'll let you die without a burial place." Dong Qian had a superior attitude because, in her opinion, as long as she mentioned the Dong clan, the other party would definitely not dare to find trouble and would definitely surrender obediently. If it was a martial artist from the Dacian Empire, perhaps this move would really work. But this time she was wrong, because Lin Xian wasn't from the Dacian Empire at all. Furthermore, given Lin Xian's character, he would never submit to anyone. Sure enough, Lin Xian sneered, "You really have a heart of snakes and scorpions. What's the use of someone like you being talented? You'll only be a scourge in the future when you grow up. Might as well get rid of you as soon as possible." "What did you say?" Dong Qian screamed like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She was so angry that her whole body trembled. The other party dared to insult her? How was this possible? Was he not afraid of death? The crowd was also shocked. They thought that the matter was over, but they didn't expect that Lin Xian would actually dare to fight back. Heavens! Does this guy not know the Dong clan? Could he be from abroad? It's possible. Discussions broke out one after another. They guessed that Lin Xian wasn't from the great Xian Empire. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to fight back after hearing about the Dong family's reputation. Dong Qian sneered. "Humph. So he's just a country bumpkin. Kid, listen well. My Dong clan is a first-rate clan in the Grand Xian Empire, and it's far from something a country bumpkin like you can afford to offend. So, I advise you to obediently kneel down and apologize. If I'm in a good mood, I might let you off. Otherwise, there will be no place for you in the entire Great Xian Empire. What Dong family? You think too highly of yourself." Lin Xian coldly harumphed. He waved his hand, and the golden rock in the sky once again shone brightly, crushing the other middle-aged woman into a bloody mist. Pum! A deep voice sounded, and a blood-red mist spread out in all directions. What? Killed again? Everyone was shocked, and their scalps went numb. They didn't expect that the other party would be so decisive and even disregard the Dong family. On the other hand, Dong Qian was so angry that her face turned pale. Brat, you dare to offend my Dong clan? You're dead meat. Dead meat? I don't think so. You'd better worry about yourself first. Lin Xian sneered and walked forward. What do you want? Dong Qian trembled when she saw him walking toward her. What do I want? Of course I want to kill you. Lin Xian's voice was as cold as the god of death. How dare you? My lady is the second lady of the Dong clan. Moreover, she's a top genius who has activated 7 rays of light. You dare to touch my lady? You're dead meat. The Dong clan and the other sects won't let you off. Seeing Lin Xian walking toward them, 4 middle-aged women immediately appeared to protect Dong Qian. Dong Qian also screamed, "Despicable and shameless!" Despicable and shameless? Lin Xian sneered. You're not despicable and shameless when you kill people. I'm just doing the same thing as you. Lin Xian's voice spread clearly in all directions. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. Yes, if the lady of the Dong clan had not been despicable and shameless and attacked first, he would not have attacked first. Speaking of which, Lin Xian was the victim. Humph, who am I and who is she? How can we be compared to each other? You bunch of country bumpkins, go to hell! Dong Qian screamed, her eyes full of viciousness. Is that so? Let's see who's going to die. Lin Xian's body emitted a dazzling light, and his aura kept rising. The martial artists and guards of the Dong clan broke out in a cold sweat because Lin Xian's aura was too strong. Haha, boy, I finally found you. At this critical moment, insolent laughter rang out, and then countless figures rushed toward Lin Xian. Along with them came a monstrous pressure and terrifying energy. The next moment, dozens of figures landed on the square again. They're from the Zhao clan. What? Why are they here too? Everyone was extremely shocked when they saw the scene. That's right, these people were martial artists from the Zhao clan. They had been searching for Lin Xian all the way and finally met him here. Boy, you dare to kill the people of the Zhao clan. Today is the day you die. Kneel down and accept your death, and I'll leave you with an intact corpse. Haha, I heard that you have 3 beauties by your side. This time, you must bring them back and enjoy them. Boy, this is what you get for provoking the Zhao clan. Hearing this, everyone's scalp went numb. They did not expect Lin Xian and his group to provoke the Zhao clan. How audacious! Like the Dong clan, the Zhao clan was a first-rate clan in the empire of Dexian. Their strength was terrifying, and no one dared to provoke them. However, they did not expect that Lin Xian would provoke 2 first-rate clans at the same time. Humph, what a reckless boy. Looks like I don't have to do anything. Your life will be gone. Dong Qian sneered. Isn't this the Dong clan's girl? Why are you here? The 3 elders of the Zhao clan asked. After greeting the 3 elders, Dong Qian quickly bowed and said, This boy is too hateful. He saw that my talent was outstanding and wanted to kill me to silence me. What? There's such a thing? How audacious. We must kill him today. The Zhao clan elder and the Dong clan martial artist smiled sinisterly and walked forward step by step. Humph, how shameless. Snakes and rats from the same nest. Lin Xian's voice was cold. What happened today? Everyone here saw it. Whether it's black or white, I think it won't be long before everyone in the world knows. So what if they know? When that time comes, you'll be a dead man. The Zhao clan elder smiled sinisterly. Who would stand up for a dead man? And who do you think dares to provoke the Zhao clan? Lin Xian sneered. So you're saying that you've got me? Chapter 15:15. To be honest, although this matter was troublesome, it was not fatal. This was because among the Zhao family cultivators, the strongest was only a late-stage 2-star king. There was not a single 3-star king. Lin Xian's current strength was enough to defeat any 2-star king. As for 3-star kings, they might not even be his match. Therefore, none of these people were his match. Even if there were more of them, he would only need to spend a little more effort. Therefore, he was not afraid at all. Qingqing continued the test. Lin Xian turned around and said to Murong Qingqing. He knew that Murong Qingqing had not activated her bloodline power yet. This meant that Murong Qingqing's talent was definitely above the 7 rays of light. Okay. Murong Qingqing nodded. She also knew Lin Xian's strength. Moreover, she knew that only by displaying a stronger talent could she suppress these people. Therefore, in the next moment, she placed her slender hand on the light pillar again. Humph! It's useless to test again. No matter how talented a dead person is, it's useless. The Zhao family elder sneered. However, Dong Qian seemed to have thought of something and screamed, Kill her quickly! We can't let her test again. This was because she had thought of a possibility. Murong Qingqing's talent was above hers, above the 7 rays of light. If that was the case, then things would be troublesome. Killing a genius of the same level as her would increase her value. However, if she killed a genius more outstanding than her, then she would be courting death. At that time, the big sex would definitely punish her. Therefore, she could not let Murong Qingqing test again. Hearing this, 4 middle-aged women flew out and formed a sword formation. They quickly charged toward Murong Qingqing. These were 4 1-star kings. When they joined forces, their strength was extremely powerful, even comparable to that of a 2-star king. They had already seen Lin Xian's cultivation before. He was only a 1-star king. Murong Qingqing behind him was also only a 1-star king. The 2 of them together would definitely not be able to defeat them. Therefore, the 4 middle-aged women were very confident. However, Lin Xian snorted and flicked his fingers. 4 void-shattering fingers flew out quickly. Pung, 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 pung. The 4 rays of light were like lightning, instantly piercing through the heads of the 4 middle-aged women. Blood splattered everywhere as the corpse stopped in midair and crashed to the ground. What? They were all killed. Everyone was shocked, not daring to believe it. This was far too frightening, right? Those were 4 1-star king tiers. Moreover, when they joined forces, they were already equivalent to 2-star king tiers. However, he was actually obliterated by someone in an instant. What kind of method was this? Damn it, how is this possible? Dong Qian's face was pale. She realized that the other party's strength was unfathomable. As for the few elders of the Zhao family, their faces were also ferocious. Damn it, this kid hid his strength. Now they finally knew why the Iron Ship pirates were so heavily injured. This was because the other party had concealed his strength. Although he appeared to only be a 1-star king, his strength had already reached the level of a 2-star king. I have to admit that you have exceeded our expectations, but so what? You only have the strength of a 2-star king at most. However, we have 3 late 2-star kings on our side. Do you think you can defeat them? Kid, I advise you to stop struggling. Obediently kneel down and surrender. Hand over the 3 beauties, and I can give you a quick death. Why are you wasting your breath on him? Just kill him. Bring the 3 beauties back. The elders of the Zhao family laughed maniacally. However, at this moment, the testing light pillar changed again. In front of them, after the testing light pillar released 7 rays of light, another ray of light appeared. This ray of light was like a divine rainbow, instantly illuminating the entire square. What? The 8th ray of light. How is this possible? Heavens, am I dreaming? 8 rays of light. It's really 8 rays of light. That beautiful woman's talent has already surpassed that of the Dong family's 2nd daughter. 8 rays of light. It had been almost 100 years since they last saw one. Heaven-defying. This beautiful woman's talent is simply too high. Everyone discussed spiritedly, extremely shocked. Meanwhile, Dong Qian's face was pale. Impossible, this is impossible, I don't believe it. This can't be real. The thing she was most worried about had still happened. The other party had released 8 rays of light, and his talent had already surpassed hers. This made her extremely jealous, and at the same time extremely shocked. On the other hand, the expressions of the Zhao family's martial artists changed drastically. They did not expect that the other party's talent was actually so high. 8 rays of light was already a genius among geniuses. Such a person could definitely enter a powerful sect. Thinking of this, the killing intent in their hearts surged. Kill her! They had to kill her before the people from the various large sects arrived. Otherwise, if she entered a large sect, the Zhao family would definitely suffer. Die! In the next moment, an elder of the Zhao family roared and pounced over like a ferocious tiger. What? He still wants to attack. Seeing the Zhao family's people attack, the surrounding martial artists exclaimed. On the other hand, Dong Qian heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that the Zhao family wanted to kill the other party more than she did. As long as the 3 elders of the Zhao family attacked, the other party would definitely not be able to escape, because those 3 elders were late-stage 2-star kings. When they joined forces, they were extremely powerful. No matter how strong the other party was, it was impossible for him to escape. On the other side, the Zhao family's elder had already arrived near Lin Xian. The terrifying palm covered the sky and completely enveloped Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing. The wind whistled and the void trembled. This palm could definitely turn a 2-star king into a bloody mist. Therefore, many people exclaimed in surprise. In their opinion, Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing could not dodge at all. However, Lin Xian sneered. He waved his hand, and a black, demonic sword appeared in his hand. It was the 9 Darkness demonic sword. In the next moment, he waved the demonic sword, and a black sword chi instantly streaked across the sky. A black crack instantly appeared in the void, but it quickly healed. In the sky, the huge palm quickly disappeared and finally broke into 2 halves. The Zhao family's elder also landed on the ground, his body trembling slightly. What's wrong? What happened? Everyone's eyes widened because Lin Xian's sword technique was too fast. They did not see it clearly at all. They only saw Lin Xian pull out a demonic sword, and then the terrifying palm disappeared. Dong Qian also did not see the sword clearly, but she had a bad feeling in her heart. The other 2 elders of the Zhao family were frowning. One of them moved forward and asked quickly, "What's wrong with you? Are you okay?" However, with a gentle push, the elder who attacked earlier fell to the ground with a plop. What happened? Everyone was shocked and stretched their necks to look. Then they screamed. Chapter 15-16. That old man gave a light push, and immediately the elder who had attacked earlier fell to the ground with a plop. Judging by his stiffness, he seemed to have lost his vitality. This caused everyone to be extremely puzzled. What happened? Everyone was shocked. They craned their necks and looked over. Then they screamed. There was a thin red line between the eyebrows of the elder of the Zhao family, which extended to his abdomen. That was a sword mark. Could it be that the elder of the Zhao family is dead? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, extremely shocked. That's right, the elder of the Zhao family was killed. The red line on his body was the sword mark displayed by Lin Xian. The sword was too fast. No one saw it clearly. Even when the elder of the Zhao family died, his body did not split open. Impossible! How is this possible? The 2 elders outside felt their scalps go numb. They could not believe it at all. That was a late-stage 2-star challenger. His strength was terrifying, but the other party killed him with a single sword strike. What kind of strength did he have to do that? They did not dare to imagine. Dong Qian was also scared out of her wits. Impossible! I don't believe it. Careless, I must have been careless. Seniors, you must go all out to kill this little thief." Dong Qian screamed crazily because she was too scared. Even a late-stage two-star challenger was killed with a single sword strike. They could not resist at all. Hearing Dong Qian's words, the two elders of the Zhang family looked at each other. "Yes, we must have been careless. This kid can't be so strong." The two of them were ready to go all out to kill Lin Xian. However, at this moment, the light beam behind them changed again. After the 8th light beam, the 9th light beam lit up again. What? 9 rays of light! Everyone was completely dumbfounded. Even the two elders of the Zhao family stopped in their tracks. 9 light beams! What kind of talent was that? It had not appeared for hundreds of years. To be honest, the two of them did not dare to do anything now. If such a genius was killed by them, the major sects would definitely be furious. By then, they would not be the only ones to suffer. Even the entire Zhao family would be implicated. For a moment, everyone was stunned. At the same time, the people of the major sects also received the news of the test. When they sensed the 9 rays of light, many sects took action. 9 rays of light was already very good. Such a genius must not be missed. Immediately, many sects began to move. They had to snatch this genius before everyone else. However, some of these sects were near while others were far away. But within the Dexian Empire, these sects had their training grounds. The Cool Breeze Dao Hall was a branch of the Cool Breeze faction. One of them, an old man in a green robe, looked at the light pillar in front of him and smiled. A genius with 9 rays of light. "I definitely can't miss this opportunity. Ha 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 ha. I'm the closest to the Dark Moon Dojo." On the other side, a burly middle-aged man in a red robe was moving quickly. Other than that, there was also a Taoist nun riding a blue wand, as well as an expert riding a flying sword. Without exception, they all flew towards the Dark Moon Dojo. It was obvious that their target was the genius who had activated the 9 rays of light. It was Murong Qingqing. However, these people didn't know that after they left, the testing light pillar lit up again. This beam of light was like a divine chain that completely covered the entire area. The light that it emitted was even brighter than the sun. 10 rays of light! Everyone was shocked and dumbfounded. 10 rays of light! It had been close to 1,000 years since someone had appeared. Who would have thought that it would appear again? This time, not only were the subsidiary sects alarmed, but even the sacred grounds were alarmed. The eastern wasteland was vast and boundless. The Dexian Empire was only one of the countries on this continent, and its strength was only average. However, there were still a few overlords in the eastern wasteland. They were the sacred grounds and the remote antiquity families. Among them, the remote antiquity families were mainly clans. Most of them were descendants of emperors, and they didn't accept outsiders. Therefore, they wouldn't choose disciples from outside. However, the sacred grounds were different. They searched the entire continent for peerless geniuses to become disciples. These two seemed to have their own advantages, but until now, the sacred grounds and the remote antiquity families were still the pinnacle of existence. No one could surpass them unless a true emperor appeared. However, it had been a long time since an emperor had appeared in the true spirit world. In a fairyland somewhere in the eastern wasteland, flowing water flowed, birds sang and flowers bloomed. Rainbows formed a bridge, and spiritual energy surrounded it. This place was like a fairyland. Purple energy floated, bringing with it a hint of mystery. This was a sacred ground in the eastern wasteland, the Purple Glow Sacred Ground. At this moment, in a testing area in the Purple Glow Sacred Ground, a light pillar suddenly exploded with a bright light. It was like a purple sun, shining in all directions. The disciple in charge of guarding was shocked. He had never seen such a situation before, so he quickly reported it to the higher-ups of the sect. Soon, this strange phenomenon alarmed the entire Holy Land. A few people surrounded by purple energy descended. They stared at the sun like light and were extremely shocked. This phenomenon, could it be that bloodline? An elder in a purple robe was excited. That's right, it's definitely that bloodline constitution. Beside him, a middle-aged Taoist nun stood on a cloud like a fairy. Her eyes were also filled with shock. Other than that, there were also a few terrifying people. They were all shocked. They were too shocked. They didn't think that such a bloodline would really appear. The heavens are blessing the purple glow sacred ground. We can't miss it. The purple-robed elder laughed heartily. Then he quickly asked, "Where did this news come from?" "Great Xian Empire, Dark Moon Training Grounds." The disciple below quickly reported. He knew that the people in front of him were all incredible people. At the same time, he was also very puzzled. Just what kind of bloodline and physique did he have to be able to attract these legendary figures? Great Xian Empire. Quick! Inform the disciples near the Great Xian Empire. They must bring that person back. If anyone dares to stop them, kill them without mercy. The purple-robed elder's voice was filled with a trace of majesty. Yes, the disciples below quickly agreed. Then they quickly got busy. Suddenly, a light array lit up. Obviously, they were passing the news to the disciples of the sacred sect far away in the Great Xian Empire. No, I'm not at ease. I'll send a few more people to help. That kind of bloodline constitution can't be allowed to have any mishaps. The middle-aged Taoist nun also said in a deep voice, "Yes, send a few elders over and seal the news until the other party safely enters the purple glow sacred ground." Hearing this, the surrounding disciples were shocked. They widened their eyes in disbelief. What kind of bloodline is it? It's actually so important to these experts. Chapter 1517. That's right. Send a few elders over and seal off the news until she safely enters the purple glow sacred land. Hearing that, the disciples around them were shocked. Their eyes widened in disbelief. What kind of bloodline is it? Why are these powerhouses so concerned about it? The disciples around them were shocked. Their eyes were wide open in disbelief. What kind of bloodline is it? Why are these powerhouses so concerned about it? They did not know what kind of bloodline it was, but they knew that if anything happened to her, it would definitely cause the entire purple glow sacred land to go crazy. In the end, the middle-aged Taoist nun sighed and said, "Forget it. I'll go with you. Otherwise, I won't be at ease." "All right." The purple-robed elder nodded. Then, the middle-aged Taoist nun turned into a purple light and disappeared into the sky. Lin Xian and the others did not know about the commotion in the purple glow sacred land. However, the entire Psangyua Square was in shock. They looked at the 10 bright lights in front of them and were all stunned. 10 lights. Heavens, what did I just see? A miracle. It's definitely a miracle. 10 lights haven't appeared in more than 1,000 years, right? This is too heaven-defying. This beautiful woman is definitely a top genius. At that moment, everyone was shocked and their hearts were beating wildly. As for the warriors of the Zhao family and the Dong family, their faces were pale and filled with despair. 10 rays of light. His opponent had actually activated 10 rays of light. How was this possible? Now, even if they wanted to kill her, they did not dare to act rashly. That was because 10 lights were enough to enter those legendary sacred lands. Those were truly peerless sacred lands. Its power was unimaginable. It was not something that they could fight against. Thinking of that, they even trembled. Among them, the warriors of the Zhao family had extremely ugly expressions. They almost knelt on the ground. Dong Qian no longer looked arrogant. Her face was extremely pale, and she even wanted to run away. Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not expect Morong Qingqing to trigger 10 lights and cause such a commotion. But soon after, he started laughing. That was because the situation was too satisfying. Just by looking at the reactions of the Zhao and Dong families, he knew that Murong Qingqing's talent was definitely beyond imagination. Most people would not dare to touch her at all. This made him feel much more at ease. He too was also surprised because he did not expect Murong Qingqing to be able to unleash 10 pillars of light. Murong Qingqing's smile bloomed like a flower. She heaved a heavy sigh of relief in her heart. She knew she was safe. Not only her, but Lin Xian and the others were also safe. Not long after, the sound of something breaking through the air came from the sky. Then, powerful figures descended one after another. Feeling this aura, everyone held their breaths and widened their eyes. Many of them even began to tremble. These auras were too strong. Lin Xian also raised his eyebrows in surprise. This was because he also felt a wave of pressure. This aura definitely surpassed that of a 3-star king realm. There were even a few that made him feel suffocated. "I am Qingfeng Zi." An old voice rang out. What? Qingfeng Zi? Could it be an elder of the Cool Breeze sect? Everyone cried out in surprise. The Cool Breeze sect was a subsidiary sect of the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. Its status was extremely powerful and was equivalent to the Xian Empire's imperial family. Ha 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 ha! The Dark Ocean Palace is here! Another loud and clear voice rang out. *CK, it's another subsidiary sect. Everyone was shocked. They realized that there were also Blue Flower sect, Northern Sword sect, and other sections. Without exception, they were all very powerful. Moreover, they knew that these were only the first few sects to arrive. There would definitely be more behind. At this moment, the representatives of the 4 sects in the sky looked down and quickly searched. Obviously, they were looking for the peerless genius. Soon, someone looked at Dong Qian, but Vivian shook her head. Dong Qian was not bad, but now she was not worth mentioning. Seeing the other party look away, Dong Qian's face turned pale. She was extremely jealous, but she did not dare to be presumptuous. Found him. Soon, the 4 people in the sky smiled. Obviously, they had found the true peerless genius. Murong Qingqing. Murong Qingqing felt the 4 gazes, and her heart skipped a beat. She quickly bowed and greeted the seniors. "You are the genius who activated the 10 light pillars." Among them, the elder of the Cool Breeze sect asked. "That's right." Murong Qingqing nodded. "Are you willing to join my Cool Breeze sect?" Qingfeng Zi asked quickly. However, before Murong Qingqing could answer, the other 3 people were unwilling. "Qingfeng Zi, what do you mean?" Among them, the lady in a blue dress asked coldly. "That's right. What's so good about your Cool Breeze sect? Why don't you join my Azure Ocean Palace? My Northern Sword sect is better." Voices rang out one after another, filled with great confidence. Everyone was stunned. They did not expect the 4 of them to start arguing. However, this also showed how heaven-defying Murong Qingqing's talent was. When the warriors of the Zhao family saw this, their faces turned ugly. They knew that there was no hope for them to kill Murong Qingqing, at least not now. Dong Qian's face was pale, and she was trembling with anger. This honor originally belonged to her, but it was snatched away by someone else. She was unwilling to accept this. Lin Xian, on the other hand, smiled. He was very satisfied with this scene. However, in the sky, the debate between the 4 experts became more and more intense. At this moment, the lady from the Blue Flower sect said, "Let's stop arguing. Let her choose." Okay. The other 3 agreed. In the next moment, the 4 of them looked at Murong Qingqing again. "Little girl, which sect do you want to join?" Qingfeng Zi asked. "My Cool Breeze sect is a subsidiary sect of the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. It's very powerful. If you join us, you might have a chance to enter the Jade Lake sacred ground. Humph. If you join my Blue Flower sect, you'll have a chance too. The lady in blue did not let it go. Obviously, the Blue Flower sect was also a subsidiary sect of the Jade Lake sacred ground. Azure Ocean Palace is better. If you join, I'll make you a core disciple, the burly middle-aged man said. Core disciple? Hearing this, everyone exclaimed. They did not expect her to become a core disciple as soon as she entered. There were different types of sect disciples, and the best type was the core disciple. This condition tempted countless people. The Northern Sword sect's treatment is better. I'll recommend you to become the sect leader's disciple. Whoosh! Everyone was shocked and went crazy. However, Morong Ching smiled bitterly. She did not know how to choose. Originally, she only wanted to join a subsidiary sect, but now there were 4 subsidiary sections. For a moment, it was hard for her to choose. Lin Xian was also speechless. It seemed that being too talented was also a problem. She's not going anywhere. However, at this moment, another voice was heard, and it resounded in all directions. This voice was full of majesty, and it made everyone's hair stand on end. Even the few experts in the sky frowned when they heard this. Chapter 1518. That voice shocked everyone. Could it be that the sects came to fight again? Everyone looked into the distance again. Even the 4 powerhouses in the sky also turned their heads one after another. The next moment, everyone was stunned. Especially those 4 powerhouses, their faces changed drastically, only to see in the distant sky a purple glow flew over quickly. At first, it was still very far, but in the blink of an eye, it already arrived in front of them. The multicolored light enveloped 3 figures, 2 men and 1 woman. One of them was a middle-aged man, the other was a youth and a young woman. The 3 people were all surrounded by purple light. Although their cultivation could not be seen clearly, the aura emitted was even more terrifying than the previous 4 powerhouses. Which sect are these people from? Everyone in the square looked up at the sky, extremely puzzled. Indeed, they had never seen them before. However, the faces of those 4 powerhouses changed drastically. Among them, that old man Qing Fingzi even cried out in surprise. Purple Afterglow, Holy Land. You guys are from Purple Afterglow, Holy Land. What? Purple Afterglow, Holy Land. They're genius martial artists of the Holy Land. Hearing this, everyone was extremely shocked. Shocking, this was really too shocking. One had to know that they had never seen martial artists from the Holy Land. Because although the great Xian Empire was powerful, compared to the Holy Land it was much worse. At most, it was only equivalent to those affiliated sects of the Holy Land. Therefore, those Holy Land martial artists would not come at all. Even if they came, these people would not see them. But they did not expect that the Holy Land martial artists actually came to this Blue Moon Square now. Heavens, these Holy Land martial artists wouldn't have come for that stunning girl, right? Defying the heavens. This kind of thing has already not happened for more than 1,000 years. Everyone was extremely envious, while the Zhao family people were sweating cold sweat. The worst thing they expected had happened. The other party had finally attracted the Holy Land's attention. Now, they did not dare to touch the other party at all, and even had to worry about being retaliated by the other party. Thinking of here, they had an impulse to run away. On the other side, Dong Qian was even more gnashing her teeth. She was really going crazy with jealousy. In the sky, Qing Fingzi and the other 3 were also puzzled. They did not expect that the Purple Afterglow Holy Land people would actually come. Could it be that they also came for that genius below? They could not understand because, when they left, they only knew that the other party activated 9 light pillars. As for the matter of the 10 pillars of light, they did not know. Moreover, they didn't know that the other party had a special bloodline physique that made the Purple Afterglow Holy Land go crazy. However, although they were extremely puzzled, they did not dare to be presumptuous. After all, the hallowed grounds were not in existence that they could provoke. The middle-aged warrior from the Purple Dawn Holy Land looked down at Morong Chingching and nodded slightly. Very good. My purple afterglow, Holy Land wants this person. A steady voice sounded. What? Purple afterglow, Holy Land wants it? Everyone was shocked. Heavens, the Purple Dawn Holy Land is really going to take it. Isn't this too shocking? Their eyes widened in disbelief. One had to know that such a situation had not happened for many years. Now, they were actually witnessing a martial artist become a disciple of a holy land with their own eyes. Gulp, gulp. The sound of countless people swallowing their saliva was heard. Dong Qian was so angry that she was trembling. She wanted nothing more than to pounce forward, while the faces of the Zhao clan's people turned pale. Qing Fingzi and the other three sucked in a breath of cold air. They didn't expect that the other party was really here for the woman below. Taking a deep breath, Qing Fingzi said, "Since Zixia, Holy Land, has spoken, we will naturally comply." The other three also nodded and then retreated to the side. The middle-aged man in purple nodded in satisfaction. Then he looked down and said to Morong Chingcheng, "Come with us." Morong Chingcheng took a deep breath. To be honest, she was too excited. She didn't expect that she would eventually attract people from the Holy Land. Moreover, the Purple Dawn Holy Land would directly recruit her. However, she still looked at Lin Xian to seek his opinion. Lin Xian smiled. "This is a good opportunity. Don't give it up." "I understand." Morong Chingcheng nodded. "I am willing to join the Purple Dawn Holy Land." "Good." The middle-aged man in purple laughed. Then he waved his hand and a force wrapped around Morong Chingcheng, bringing her to his side. "Lin Xian, remember to look for me." Morong Chingcheng transmitted her voice. Then the group of people turned into purple rainbows and left the place. Phew! Only when the figure disappeared did everyone heave a sigh of relief. It couldn't be helped. The auras of the three Holy Land martial artists were too strong, making it hard for them to breathe. In the sky, the four experts sighed and prepared to leave. At this time, Lin Xian smiled and said, "Seniors, please wait." The four of them were stunned. They stopped and looked down. "What's the matter?" Qing Fengzi frowned and asked, "Seniors, please wait. I have a friend who wants to be tested," Lin Xian said. Hearing this, the man from the Deep-Sea Palace showed a trace of impatience. The woman from the Blue Flower sect was puzzled. "Friend is the peerless genius from before your friend." "Yes," Lin Xian smiled. "My other two friends are not bad either. Seniors, why don't you take a look?" Lin Xian had his own ideas. He knew that Shen Jingqiu and Luo Bingshan were talented and could at least enter an affiliated sect. That was why he stopped the four of them. "Okay, I'll take a look." Qing Fingzi was interested. The other three stayed as well. Anyway, it wouldn't take much time. "Qiu, you do it." Lin Xian waved his hand. "Oh." Shen Jingqiu nodded and walked over. "Another peerless beauty." The crowd exclaimed and was envious. "This kid is too lucky. He has three peerless beauties by his side." "Yeah, who is he?" a group of people discussed. Shen Jingqiu quickly came to the front of the light pillar and placed her hand on it. Suddenly, the light pillar shone brightly. 1, 2, 3. Soon, 7 light pillars lit up. The crowd's hearts were in their mouths. 8. The crowd swallowed their saliva and widened their eyes, because the 9th light pillar lit up. 9 again. Many people exclaimed. They realized that another top genius had appeared. Moreover, it was another peerless beauty. Heavens, where did they come from? In the sky? Qing Fingzi and the other three were surprised. They were just curious and didn't expect the other party to really activate 9 light pillars. With such talent, they could enter their sect. Not bad, not bad. Little girl, your talent is abnormally good. To be able to gather together, what a surprise. The few of them nodded and their eyes flickered. They were ready to snatch the person again. However, in the next moment, they were stunned again. Even their faces were filled with shock. Not only the 4 experts, but the entire square was stunned again. Everyone was in a daze. Even Lin Xian widened his eyes, because the 10th light pillar appeared again. Chapter 1519. What? Another 10 beams of light. Everyone was stunned and couldn't believe it. This was too shocking. They had just witnessed a genius with 10 beams of light. They didn't expect to see it again. For a moment, everyone was dumbfounded. In the sky, the 4 peerless experts were also stunned. Originally, they only wanted to see it out of curiosity, but they didn't expect another peerless genius to appear. Thinking of this, the corners of their mouths twitched. Although this kind of genius was good, they couldn't get their hands on it. This kind of genius was destined to enter the sacred ground. To be honest, Lin Xian was also stunned when he saw this. He didn't expect Xin Jingqiu's talent to be the same as Murong Qingqing's, but then he smiled. This made him feel more at ease. However, they didn't know that behind these 10 beams of light, there was an earth-shattering event. Eastern Wilderness, another sacred ground. Jade Lake, sacred ground. Jade Lake was a place in ancient myths. But since this sacred ground dared to name itself Jade Lake, one could imagine how terrifying it was. At this moment, something happened in the Jade Lake sacred ground. Their testing beam of light suddenly bloomed with endless light. Then, a phoenix quickly formed and rushed into the sky. That phoenix hovered in the sky and then dropped tens of thousands of beams of light. There was even a mysterious sound in the sky. Zither and phoenix cry. This phenomenon directly alarmed the entire sacred ground. Phoenix bloodline, this is the phoenix physique. Heavens! This legendary bloodline has actually appeared again. They were too excited. In the true spirit world, there were many special bloodlines and physiques. Some of them were very special. They were favored by the heavens and earth and contained powerful energy. The phoenix bloodline was one of them. Quick, we must find her. Immediately, the entire Jade Lake moved quickly. On the other side, Great Xian Empire, Tsangyue Square. Everyone was still in a daze. At this moment, a green mist appeared in the sky. The green mist swirled with light, bringing with it a terrifying energy that made people tremble all over. Ha 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 ha! A genius with 10 beams of light. I didn't expect to find her. Since that's the case, follow me. The green mist rolled quickly and then surged downward. It was like a long green river. It was extremely strange. The green waves spread and quickly enveloped Xin Jingqiu. You're courting death. Lin Xian roared and slashed out with his sword. However, he was unable to resist it. This was because the green mist was simply too terrifying. Soon his sword chi was shattered. However, at this moment, the 4 experts in the sky made their move. Humph! Qing Feng Zi snorted and quickly made his move. With a flick of his sleeve, the void trembled, forming a ray of light that slashed forward. It was like a bolt of snow-white lightning that illuminated the void. Boom! The attack collided with the green weapon, creating a loud boom, but it was unable to block it. What? Qing Feng Zi was stunned, not daring to believe it. Watch me! A woman from the Blue Flower sect made her move. Her blue hair fluttered in the wind, her eyes were clear, and her temperament was incomparably ethereal. A blue petal appeared on his body, quickly expanding and pushing out. Bang! It was as if a sudden clap of thunder had exploded in the heavens and the earth, causing the void to shake and hum. This energy was too terrifying, shaking the martial artists below until their faces turned pale. However, he still couldn't block it. That green light quickly rushed downwards. Along with it, there was a disdainful voice. Humph, just a few 4-star kings, and you want to stop me? What a joke! Damn it! Who are you? The woman from Blue Flower Sect asked in a deep voice. Oh no, are you the Green-Robed King? Ching Feng, Z exclaimed. Ha ha! I didn't expect anyone to recognize me. That voice was very arrogant. Since you know me, why don't you get lost? With an angry roar, the void exploded, and a terrifying energy swept in all directions. Not good. In the sky, the 4 people's faces changed drastically. They quickly counterattacked. The North Sword Sect was the first to make a move. The blood-red sword in his hand emitted a cold light, piercing towards the green mist. This attack was very terrifying, erupting with a dazzling light, like a sudden clap of thunder shaking the entire void. It was clearly a ray of sword chi, but it was incomparably sharp like a divine rainbow descending. Kill! At the same time, the burly middle-aged man from Deep Sea Palace also moved. A blue fist blasted out, and it was incomparably violent. It directly pierced through the void and arrived in front of him. Ching Feng Zi and the Blue Flower Sect also erupted, pouncing over to stop the green mist. In an instant, a terrifying energy exploded. Everyone was stunned, not expecting such an unforeseen event to occur. They quickly retreated and watched nervously. Bang! 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 A series of low sounds rang out, and then Ching Feng Zi and the other 3 were forced to retreat. Damn it, he's a 5-star king. Damn it! The 4 people's faces were ugly. They were only 4-star kings, and even if they joined forces, they couldn't fight against a 5-star king. What, a 5-star king? Hearing this, everyone was stunned, and Lin Xian's face was also gloomy. A 5-star king was too terrifying. Although he had the great dragon sword soul, he probably couldn't block it. Ha ha ha, now you know how powerful I am. That voice was very arrogant. Get lost, or don't blame me for starting a massacre. Green-robed king, although you're strong, I advise you not to make a move. That's a genius that the sacred ground has taken a fancy to. Ching Feng Zi gritted his teeth and said, Sacred ground? Humph, don't scare me. Chapter 1520. With a wave of his palm, rays of light danced in the air. This palm was too bright. It was like the sun, causing the entire world to lose its color. Damn it, block it! The green-robed king roared in anger and then used his king domain. Suddenly, a green domain quickly shrouded him. The entire void trembled, forming a green fortress that quickly resisted the shining palm in the sky. Boom! In the next moment, a low sound was heard. The Green King's domain exploded, turning into countless fragments. Not only that, but the green-robed king's body also exploded, forming a cloud of blood mist. In front of this palm, the domain that he was so proud of and the strength of a 5-star king were useless. What? The green-robed king was killed. Everyone was shocked and gasped. That was a 5-star king, and he was killed with a single palm? They couldn't believe it. One had to know that the green-robed king had defeated Ching Fengzi and the other 3. He was extremely powerful. However, such a powerful figure couldn't even block a single move. What cultivation level did that woman reach? She was so terrifying. Was this the strength of a sacred ground? So powerful. Lin Xian also raised his head, his eyes flickering with shock. That palm strike just now made his hair stand on end. It also let him know the strength of a sacred ground. No wonder they were the overlords of the true spirit world. They were indeed powerful. Follow me. In the sky, the shining figure said slowly. Hearing this, Xin Jingqiu turned her head and looked at Lin Xian. Brother Lin Xian, I'm leaving. Remember to find me, I'll miss you. Then her figure floated into the sky. together with the figure from the Jade Lake sacred ground. She entered the black hole again. In the next moment, the two figures entered the black hole, and the black vortex also quickly disappeared. In the end, the entire sky became clear again. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. The scene just now was like a dream. Qing Fingzi and the other three also sighed, then looked at Lin Xian again. "Kid, you still have a friend. Let her take the test." Hearing this, everyone's mouth twitched as they looked at Lin Xian strangely, because the first two people were geniuses who had triggered 10 rays of light. They wanted to know if the third person was also a genius. "Bingshan, you do it." Lin Xian nodded and waved at Luo Bingshan. Then, Luo Bingshan walked to the front of the light pillar. This time it wasn't 10 rays, but 9 rays. In the end, 9 rays of light. Luckily, it wasn't 10 rays of light, or else it would be too heaven-defying. In the sky, Qing Fingzi and the other three heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily, a genius with 9 rays of light was just right for them. This trip was not a trip. Kid. The moment Qing Fengzi asked this question, he regretted it, because the void split open again and a figure walked out. That figure was mysterious. His body was shrouded in countless demonic clouds, and it was impossible to see clearly. However, the aura that emanated from his body was incomparably terrifying. He was like a demon standing in the air. He didn't look at anyone and didn't say anything. Waving his hand, the demonic clouds rolled and covered Luo Bingshan, then brought him away. Everyone was stunned. The whole place was eerily quiet. Lin Xian frowned. He didn't even know which sect he was from. Sigh. He sighed and shook his head. This was Luo Bingshan's opportunity, and he couldn't interfere. Hopefully, there would be a chance to see him again. In the sky, Qing Fingzi and the other three were speechless. They finally found a genius with 9 rays of light. They wanted to take him in, but they didn't expect such a change to happen. However, they didn't dare to say anything because the aura of the previous figure was too scary. It made their hair stand. "Kid, do you have any friends? Or do you want to take the test?" Qing Fingzi didn't give up and looked at Lin Xian again. Lin Xian shook his head. The 3 people he brought had already taken the test, and he wouldn't take the test. At the sight of this, Qing Fingzi and the other 3 sighed. Their bodies then flashed as they left the place swiftly. What? They left! Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect the 4 of them to leave. Dong Qian was the one with the worst expression. She was completely dumbfounded. One had to know that she was also a genius who had activated 7 rays of light and was able to enter an affiliated sect. However, those 4 powerhouses from before did not even glance at her and directly flew away. This made her feel hopeless. "It's you, it's all your fault. It's all because of you that I missed this chance." She glared viciously at Lin Xian, her face full of malice. "Humph!" Lin Xian snorted coldly. "You're a piece of trash, and you're blaming it on others? What a joke!" "What did you say?" Dong Qian screamed. Kill him for me." "Yes, Mississippi!" Suddenly, an old woman with a walking stick walked out from behind her. Her face was full of wrinkles. Her aura was asking for a beating. She was also a late 2-star king. At the same time, the 2 elders of the Zhao family also walked up. The 3 of them stood side by side, and their killing intent surged. They had no choice. They had already offended Lin Xian, and they had to kill him quickly. Otherwise, they would be finished when Lin Xian joined forces with the disciples of the Holy Lands. "Humph! So what if your friends have entered the Holy Lands? They are them, and you are you. You might not be able to contact each other in this lifetime. Since you dared to offend us, you can die obediently." The 3 of them quickly used their king domains and attacked Lin Xian. The terrifying king domains shone brightly and cut the void apart. The 3 king domains carried a shocking killing intent as they rushed over. Lin Xian's expression was cold. His body swayed, and he quickly dodged the attack. Boom! The place where he was fighting turned into a black hole. Humph! Let's see how you dodge. The three of them laughed maliciously and attacked again. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Lin Xian's voice was cold as he quickly used the dragon sword domain. Suddenly, a green light appeared around him, and countless sword qi formed a special domain. Buzz! 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 In the next moment, the 4 domains collided, and a shocking sound rang out. Humph! So what if you're strong? Do you think you can stop the 3 of us? The old woman sneered. The 2 elders of the Zhao family also looked ferocious. They were confident that they could kill Lin Xian. Not good. That kid is in danger. Yes, 3 late 2-star kings. He can't stop them at all. Everyone shook their heads. Lin Xian roared, and the dragon sword domain trembled. Sword qi exploded, and a green light rushed into the sky. Then Lin Xian's body flickered with a shocking killing intent. At this moment, everyone was shocked, and their expressions changed greatly. Chapter 1521. This aura was too terrifying. Everyone felt a chill down their spines. Lin Xian's dragon sword realm rolled rapidly, and countless rays of light gathered on his arm. Then a Qilin phantom appeared, looking disdainfully at the surroundings. It carried an extremely terrifying energy, as if it was going to destroy the world. Accompanying it was a low roar that made one's scalp tingle. Qilin arm. This was one of the ultimate skills that Lin Xian had learned on the Black Earth. At this moment, it was extremely powerful. After using the Qilin arm, Lin Xian roared and punched out. The Qilin roared, carrying a terrifying energy as it quickly bombarded the front. Suddenly, the expressions of the 3 late-stage 2-star kings from the Zhao and Dong family changed. Boom! There was a shocking collision. Then, the Qilin arm ruthlessly collided with the 3 realms, emitting a terrifying energy. Ka! Under everyone's shocked gazes, cracks appeared on the 3 realms. What? How is this possible? Everyone's scalp tingled in disbelief. What kind of power was this? How could it be so terrifying? How could it shatter their realms with a single punch? One had to know that the 3 of them were late-stage 2-star kings. When they joined forces, they were extremely terrifying. However, Yi Fuqian had actually shattered their king's domains with a single punch. This was simply too shocking. Damn it! Quickly counterattack and kill him. The old lady from the Dong family roared crazily. Then she activated her Silver King realm and slashed out a huge silver half-moon. Silver moon slash. A shocking ray of light, like a crescent moon, quickly streaked across the void. Space-splitting slash. A black sword ray quickly bombarded and slashed down. Death roar. On the other side, the king realm vibrated and formed a ghost head, letting out a shocking roar. The 3 late-stage 2-star kings performed extremely powerful ultimate skills at this moment, quickly attacking Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, let out a long roar as the dragon's sword domain erupted with an incomparably dazzling light. Qilin arm, Qilin kill. In an instant, the power of the dragon sword realm circulated crazily, supporting the Qilin wall. Suddenly, the entire arm bloomed with incomparably bright light. The illusory image of the Qilin became even more solid, as if it was a real divine beast. In the next instant, Lin Xian punched out, forcefully blocking the 3 king-level attacks. Boom! Boom! An earth-shattering collision sound rang out once again, and the entire void became distorted. In the sky, the ultimate moves of the 3 great kings were smashed apart by this single punch, shattering into countless shards. The expressions of the 3 kings changed as they were sent flying. What? He was sent flying. Everyone exclaimed in disbelief. Damn it, this is impossible. Dong Qian's face was also pale. She couldn't believe it. She didn't expect him to be so powerful. As for the 3 late-stage 2-star king tiers, their expressions were even more horrified. What kind of power was this? It actually made them tremble. Is he really a 1-star king? How could there be such power? Even more terrifying than a 3-star king? They truly had no idea what was going on. However, they knew that the other party's strength was beyond their imagination. At that moment, they simply did not dare to stay there and quickly fled. The old woman waved her hand, instantly wrapping Dong Qian up and flying into the distance. The 2 elders of the Zhao family also joined forces to escape. Trying to escape? Lin Xian sneered. His body was like a ray of sword light as he quickly chased after them. He was chasing the 2 elders of the Zhao family, while the crimson dragon flew towards the martial artist of the Dong family. Boom! Boom! 2 sounds rang out, and then those who had fled flew back once again. Everyone was shocked, and their scalps went numb. As for Dong Qian, she screamed, "If you dare to touch me, the Dong family will not let you off." Slap! The crimson dragon waved its claw and directly slapped the other party. Immediately, a red mark appeared on her delicate face. "You talk too much." The crimson dragon snorted coldly. This guy actually dared to kill Morong Qingcheng, which made him very unhappy. On the other side, the 2 martial artists of the Zhao family also said coldly, "Kid, do you really want to be enemies with us? You have to think carefully. Our Zhao family and Dong family are first-rate families in the Dexian Empire. If you dare to touch us, you will definitely not be able to move an inch in the Dexian Empire. You actually dare to threaten me now?" Lin Xian sneered. "I don't know what will happen in the future, but I know that the 2 of you must die today." After speaking, he waved his hand, and the dragon's sword domain directly enveloped the 2 of them. Countless rays of sword qi turned into resplendent rays of light, instantly piercing towards the 2 of them. Those auras were too terrifying, like peerless divine weapons, incomparably sharp. They directly pierced through the bodies of the 2 elders of the Zhao family. The dragon's sword domain disappeared, and the bodies of the 2 elders of the Zhao family fell to the ground. Fresh blood flowed, dyeing the earth red. Looking at this scene, everyone's scalps went numb, and the remaining martial artists of the Zhao family fled madly. Lin Xian waved his arm, and dozens of rays of sword qi flew out, beheading all of them. In a moment, the martial artists of the Zhao family were all wiped out. Then Lin Xian turned around and looked at the Dong family again. Feeling that gaze, Dong Qian's body trembled, and her expression was incomparably ugly. She did not expect that the other party would actually dare to make a move. That Zhao family was the same as their Dong family, a first-rate family. Could it be that he was not afraid of crazy revenge? "Kid, if you dare to touch me, you're dead!" Dong Qian screamed. She did not have any strength to resist at all and could only threaten. "Kid, I advise you to quickly let me go. My brother is nearby, and when he comes, you're definitely dead. My brother is a 3-star king, a genius of the younger generation. He's also a capable subordinate of the 3rd prince, and he will soon participate in the Empire's martial arts competition. He will definitely be famous in the world. If you dare to touch me, you're dead." However, these threatening words were pale and pitiful in Lin Xian's eyes. Participate in the martial arts competition? 3-star king? Is he very strong? Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. In the next moment, the dragon sword realm flew out again and enveloped Dong Qian and the martial artists of the Dong family. Lin Xian said coldly, "I have no enmity with you, but you tried to assassinate my woman out of jealousy. I can't forgive you for that. So you're in this situation now because you asked for it." Lin Xian said coldly, Then he raised his hand and was about to activate the dragon's sword realm. However, at this moment, an angry roar came from afar. "Who dares to touch my Dong family?" This voice was very terrifying, and it was like dozens of thunderbolts exploding in the air. However, when she heard this voice, Dong Qian exclaimed, "Brother, save me! Let go of my sister. Kneel on the ground and wait for death, or I'll tear you into pieces." That figure rushed over at an extremely fast speed. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly, and his hand fell mercilessly. Chapter 1522. Suddenly, the dragon's sword domain erupted with a terrifying light, and countless sword chi killed all the Dong family martial artists inside. Puff, 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 puff. What? He killed them all. Everyone was shocked, and their scalps went numb. They didn't think that Lin Xian would be so bold as to kill in front of the Dong family. The Dong family martial artist who rushed over also roared crazily. He didn't think that the other party would really dare to attack, which made him very crazy. "Ah, kid, go to hell." That figure was like a shocking rainbow rushing towards Lin Xian. That figure was too powerful, and his aura was shocking. Light erupted from his body and shot into the sky. There was an incomparably violent, domineering aura on his body. He stood in the air, and countless rays of light surged under his feet, forming a white tiger that quickly stomped towards Lin Xian. Vaguely, everyone seemed to hear a tiger's roar that shook the mountains and rivers. Then, a white tiger quickly formed under the mysterious martial artist's feet, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as it roared in the air. This white tiger was not an ordinary tiger, but a very powerful martial art. At this moment, in the hands of this mysterious martial artist, it was even more shocking, like an ancient divine beast. White tiger kill. This is a mid-grade earth step martial art. Everyone exclaimed. Even in the Dexian Empire, earth step martial arts were not ordinary, but very high-level martial arts. Ordinary people couldn't learn them at all. Just like those Zhao family elders from before, they only mastered low-grade earth step martial arts. They didn't have any mid-grade earth step martial arts. But now, the moment this young man appeared, he used his father's mid-grade martial art. It was incomparably powerful. White light soared into the sky, and the terrifying fluctuations were shocking. This stomp seemed to be able to shatter the entire mountain and river. The huge, white tiger phantom instantly enveloped Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian waved his arm and directly used the Qilin arm. A Qilin quickly formed, roaring and fiercely colliding with the white tiger that swooped down from the sky. Then, the two divine beasts disappeared into the air together. Terrifying energy turned into waves that slapped in all directions, scaring everyone into hurriedly retreating. In the sky, a figure appeared. It was a young man, about 28 or 29 years old. At this moment, his handsome face was filled with gloom. He was like a fiend god, standing in the void and looking down. He asked coldly, "Brat, you actually dared to kill my sister. Today, I will make you kneel and accept your death. Your sister only has herself to blame. It's better to kill such a person. I advise you to scram. Otherwise, if you anger me, I'll kill you too." Facing the sky, Lin Xian did not back down. "Brat, you are too arrogant. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you killed a few late-stage two-star kings. Let me tell you, those people are nothing in my eyes. The same goes for you. I advise you to kneel down obediently. This way, you may suffer less pain. Otherwise, if you anger me, I will make you regret being born into this world. 3-star king, is this what gives you the right to be so arrogant?" Lin Xian sneered. "Brat, you are too weak. You don't know how powerful a 3-star king is. In the sky, Dong Qianshan was very arrogant. In front of me, Even late-stage 2-star kings are ants, let alone you. Moreover, I am not an ordinary 3-star king. I am a martial artist under the third prince, and I am also a genius who is about to participate in the martial arts conference. If you offend me, you will not have a good ending. Ridiculous! Lin Xian sneered. Dong Qianshan's arrogant attitude made him very unhappy. Therefore, in the next moment, he did not waste any time and directly used the dragon's sword realm to attack. Myriad sword technique. At this moment, Lin Xian used another middle-grade, Earth-class martial art. Suddenly, the dragon's sword spirit trembled, and countless sword qi quickly formed, releasing endless cold light. 3,000 sword force. Lin Xian roared, and 3,000 sword qi surrounded him, forming a terrifying aura. Then he slashed out with his sword, and the terrifying sword qi was like a shocking rainbow, quickly slashing forward. This aura was too terrifying, as if it could destroy the galaxy and shatter everything. When the surrounding martial artists saw this scene, their scalps went numb. Even the late-stage 2-star kings were filled with fear. In front of this aura, they did not have any power to resist. In the sky, Dong Qianshan's expression changed for the first time. He did not expect that his opponent could release such a terrifying aura. Then he roared and quickly counterattacked. White Tiger Divine Fist. Dong Qianshan roared and waved his fists. This time, 2 huge tiger heads appeared on his fists, and terrifying power quickly circulated. His body surged with killing intent and directly pierced through the void. Bang! The two collided in the sky, and a huge collapse occurred. The entire void exploded, and countless black cracks appeared, spreading in all directions. The 3,000 sword qi turned into a terrifying killing intent and directly cut open the 2 ferocious tiger heads, creating countless cracks. Dong Qianshan's pupil shrank, and his expression changed drastically. His body swayed, and he turned into a white light, quickly retreating. What? He was pushed back. Everyone looked at the sky, and their scalps went numb. They did not expect that the one who was pushed back was Dong Qianshan, who was a 3-star king. This was too unbelievable. It should be known that Dong Qianshan was a 3-star king, and his opponent was only a 1-star king. However, the result was out of everyone's expectations. Heavens, who is that young man? He is even more powerful than Dong Qianshan? He must have some way to hide his cultivation. Otherwise, a 1-star king could not force a 3-star king to retreat. This does not make sense. Many people screamed, and they were extremely shocked. In the sky, Dong Qianshan also stopped, and his face was gloomy as he looked ahead. Brat, who are you? Lin Xian sneered. Don't you think it's too late to ask who I am? You, Dong Qianshan snorted coldly. Don't be so arrogant. I was just careless. Is that so? Then use your full strength and fight with me. Lin Xian laughed wildly, and then he attacked again. You are courting death. Dong Qianshan was furious when he saw Lin Xian charging at him. He had never been looked down upon like this before. He was a 3-star king, and he was the third prince's right-hand man. His strength could definitely be ranked in the top 10 among the third prince's martial artists. Therefore, he would not allow a 1-star king to look down on him. He roared angrily, and he attacked again with the White Tiger Divine Fist. Then, the 2 of them fought fiercely. Terrifying energy spread out in all directions, and the shocking sound created many black holes in the void. However, Dong Qianshan was quickly sent flying again. Not only that, but he was also injured, and a trace of blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. What? Dong Qianshan was also sent flying after using his full strength? When everyone saw this scene, their scalps went numb. Chapter 1523. Impossible. Damn it. This is impossible. I don't believe it. Dong Qianshan roared madly, unable to accept this reality. 3-star king? Participating in the martial arts conference. Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. Just this title can make you so arrogant. I really don't know where you get your confidence from. He attacked mercilessly. You think a 3-star king is powerful? In my eyes, you're just SOO. Also, don't think that participating in the martial arts conference is something worth being arrogant about. Let me tell you, I was also invited by Princess Kai Dai to participate in the martial arts conference. So, in front of me, you don't have any right to be arrogant. What? He's also participating in the martial arts conference. Hearing this, the crowd exclaimed. The martial arts conference was a grand event in the empire of Dexian. Only the top geniuses of the younger generation could participate. Therefore, anyone who participated in the martial arts conference would be regarded as a supreme honor. This was also the reason why Dong Qianshan had been constantly talking about this matter. However, they did not expect that Lin Xian would also participate in the martial arts conference. This was too shocking. You're also participating in the martial arts conference? Hearing Lin Xian's words, Dong Qianshan's expression darkened. He gritted his teeth so hard that they were about to shatter. This was too humiliating. In front of everyone, he could not defeat a 3-star king. If this news spread, he would lose face. In that case, I won't be polite. I want to see what kind of strength you have to participate in the martial arts conference. He roared and quickly unleashed his king's domain. Suddenly, the surrounding space turned dark. Behind him, a huge black mountain appeared. It was dark and majestic, with a soul-stirring pressure. Furthermore, black flames were being emitted from the black mountain. They were burning fiercely. This black mountain was Dong Qianshan's king domain. After displaying the king domain, Dong Qianshan's aura sword, carrying a terrifying murderous aura. This aura was too terrifying, causing the martial artists in the square to tremble. What a terrifying aura! Dong Qianshan is indeed a 3-star king. He's so terrifying. Is this the strength of a martial artist participating in the martial arts conference? He's really strong. Brat, you should be proud of yourself for forcing me to use my Devil Mountain domain, Dong Qianshan said coldly. Then he waved his hand. Suddenly, a black, demonic mountain came crashing down. Boom! The black light flickered, bringing with it a murderous aura that soared into the sky, as if it was going to tear the entire sky apart. In an instant, the black, demonic mountain arrived above Lin Xian and pressed down mercilessly. Lin Xian, on the other hand, let out a low roar. The dragon's sword domain around him flashed, and a shocking sword light soared into the sky, tearing the entire void apart. At this moment, the terror of the great dragon sword spirit was displayed. Vast sword chi shrouded the entire area. Pum! The demonic mountain and the sword chi collided, and a shocking sound of collision erupted. However, that terrifying demonic mountain was actually split apart by a single slash. What? Split it open with a single slash? This is impossible. Dong Qianshan's pupils constricted, and the crowd cried out in alarm. They felt their scalps go numb. That was Dong Qianshan's all-out attack. It was an attack that had fused with the Devil Mountain domain. It was incomparably terrifying. No one below 3-star king realm could stop him. Yet now, it had actually been split open by someone. Moreover, the one who had done this was actually a 1-star king tier. This was truly too inconceivable. Kid, go to hell! Dong Qianshan roared crazily. His voice was like thunder, causing the entire sky to split apart. Then he brought the black, demonic mountain with him and quickly rushed towards Lin Xian. He was like a devil king. The tattoos on his body were surrounded by black chi, emitting a terrifying, murderous aura. Kill! Lin Xian let out a furious roar as well. Then, His sword Qi swept out like a true dragon, filling up the void. That incomparably huge body was covered with scales, as if it was real. A terrifying aura shook the entire void. With a terrifying, murderous aura, it quickly slashed forward. Pung! The incomparably terrifying demonic mountain collided with a real dragon sword Qi, and a sonorous sound rang out. Suddenly, demonic clouds rolled and black Qi surged. The scene turned into hell. It was a terrifying scene. This time, Dong Qianshan attacked with all his strength. With the incomparably terrifying devil mountain domain, he directly broke the sword Qi and quickly rushed towards Lin Xian. Haha, kid, go to hell. Your sword Qi is useless in front of me. Dong Qianshan stood on the demonic mountain and quickly rushed over. He was like a real devil king, extremely powerful to the extreme. Lin Xian, on the other hand, sneered and activated the dragon's sword realm to fight back. Ridiculous! You want to use your domain to fight against me? You're courting death. Watch how I shatter your domain. Dong Qianshan laughed crazily because a one-star king's domain could not do anything in front of him. It's over. That kid is going to be killed, the surrounding people exclaimed. In the next moment, the Devil Mountain domain and the Dragon's Sword domain collided, and the entire void shook rapidly. A terrifying energy swept out in all directions. No, damn it, how is this possible? Not long after, Dong Qianshan let out a cry of surprise. He seemed to be in a panic. What happened? Hearing this voice, everyone looked over. Then their eyes widened. They could not believe it. This was because Dong Qianshan's Devil Mountain domain was now full of holes, pierced by countless sharp swords. It was on the verge of collapse, as if it would collapse at any time. How is this possible? Dong Qianshan's king domain was defeated? How is this possible? Everyone's scalp went numb. They could not believe it. It should be known that that was a 3-star king's domain, which was far more powerful than a 1-star king's domain. Now it had been pierced and was even about to explode. This was completely beyond everyone's understanding. Lin Xian sneered. 3-star king? Devil Mountain domain? Your pride? You can't even withstand a single blow. This was a slap in the face, and Dong Qianshan was unable to fight back. Kid, I'll remember you. Just you wait. Dong Qianshan's face was gloomy, but he did not dare to fight anymore, so he turned around and fled. His figure flashed, and he turned into a shocking demonic aura, instantly rushing into the sky and disappearing. What? He escaped? Looking at this scene, everyone was stunned. It was as if they were dreaming. A dignified 3-star king had actually fled? What a piece of trash! Lin Xian looked at the fleeing figure and sneered. This kind of trash was not worthy of his attack. After putting away the dragon's sword domain, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon also left. Only the stunned crowd was left behind. They were too shocked. That was Dong Qianshan, the genius of the Dong family. Originally, he was extremely arrogant and did not take anyone seriously. However, they did not expect that in the end he would escape in a sorry state. The contrast between before and after was truly ironic. However, this time, what shocked them even more was Lin Xian's identity. Chapter 1524. However, what shocked them even more was Lin Xian's identity. Who exactly was he? What kind of person could be so powerful that he could send a 3-star king running away? They didn't know, but they knew that the great Xian Empire would undergo a great change. Lin Xian left the Blue Moon Plaza and flew towards the imperial city of the great Xian Empire with the Crimson Dragon. This time, only the two of them were left. Of course, there was also He Tu, who was beside Lin Xian. Murong Qingqing and the others had joined the powerful sacred grounds to cultivate. Lin Xian didn't have to worry about their safety at all, because from the previous performance, Even if Morong Chingching and the others had joined the sacred grounds, they would still receive special treatment. Sacred grounds! Lin Xian muttered, his eyes shining brightly. He knew that if he wanted to become a great emperor, he would have to fight with the geniuses of the sacred grounds. Just as Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were heading towards the imperial city, Dong Qianshan's defeat and disappearance swept through the entire Great Xian Empire like a gust of wind. What shocked everyone even more was that the person who defeated Dong Qianshan was only a one-star king. Not only that, but it was also said that the one-star king was also going to participate in the martial arts conference. However, he wasn't one of the third prince's men, but one of Princess Katie's men. Dong Qianshan was one of the third prince's men. Not only that, but he could also be ranked in the top 10 of the third prince's men. The third prince's prestige was also one of the strongest among all the princes and princesses. But now, the genius of the third prince's men was defeated by a one-star king under Princess Katie's men. This was simply too shocking. For a moment, everyone was guessing where Princess Kaidai had found such a miraculous young man. The Dong family was a first-rate family in the Great Xian Empire. At this moment, the atmosphere was a little gloomy because their genius Dong Qianshan had been defeated. Moreover, everyone knew about this. This made them lose a great deal of face. However, at this moment, a figure appeared above the Dong family. This figure was strolling in the void as if he was having fun. He didn't care about the Dong family at all. Not only that, but in the end, he even sat down at the top of the Dong family. This was a young warrior with a bald head and a cold face. He was covered in a black robe and exuded a gloomy aura. The bald young man sat directly above the Dong clan. Then, as if he had been petrified, there was no movement at all. This strange scene naturally attracted the attention of the Dong family's martial artists. Immediately, they were all furious. This was because no one dared to behave atrociously in front of the Dong family. But now, someone was sitting above them without any scruples. This made them extremely furious. However, when they saw the figure above them again, they were all stunned. After all, his aura wasn't any weaker than Dong Qianshan's. In fact, he might even be stronger. But so what? The Dong family was also a first-rate family. They would never allow anyone to provoke them. Therefore, very soon, there were cultivators who stood out, wanting to make a move. However, at this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air came from afar again. A few more mysterious figures descended. Like ghosts, 3 figures emitted powerful auras and arrived above the Dong family. Then they slowly sat down. They didn't speak, but their figures were like mountains pressing down on the people's heads, making it difficult for them to breathe. This scene stunned the Dong family's martial artists. Even those who were about to make a move stopped. Their eyes were filled with uncertainty. They felt that the situation in front of them was a little strange. They had to inform the young master of the Dong family. Therefore, someone quickly went to report to the Dong family. However, not long after, another voice came from afar. The figure's aura was even more powerful. He was like a celestial demon, especially his arms. They were purplish red and shone with a metallic luster. There were even sword and saber scars on his arms. At first glance, one could tell that he was a veteran of hundreds of battles. Perhaps no one knew this person, but his palms were very famous, flaming demon palms. As for this young man, no one knew his original name. They only knew that he was called the Flaming Demon. The Flaming Demon was very powerful. He could definitely be ranked in the top 3 of the third prince's subordinates. It could be said that Dong Qianshan was far inferior to him. The Flaming Demon's appearance attracted everyone's attention. At this moment, a voice drifted over. It seems that the third prince cares a lot about this matter. He even sent you, the Flaming Demon. I wonder if Jiang Nantian will come? Impossible. He is the third prince's #1 expert. Why would he come here? It turned out that the mysterious figures in the sky were talking. At this moment, they saw the Flaming Demon and nodded slightly. However, their eyes were very serious. It was very obvious that the flaming demon held a very high position in their hearts. The flaming demon also looked around. Then his deep voice sounded. I didn't expect you all to come. There was no helping it. The matter yesterday had too great of an impact. Now, the entire Great Xian Empire knew about it. Naturally, he had to come and take a look. That's right. That Dong Qianshan was actually defeated by a one-star king. It's really surprising. The third prince is very angry about yesterday's matter. If Dong Qianshan can't explain it clearly, I'm afraid he'll end up very miserably. I'm guessing that it must be the top 3 experts under Princess Kai Dai. They hid their cultivation and specially came to humiliate the third prince. Otherwise, it's impossible for others to do this. That makes sense. Hearing this, many people nodded slightly. Indeed, among all the princes, the third prince was the strongest. Princess Jie was slightly weaker than the third prince. Although the third prince had many experts under him, to be able to defeat Dong Qianshan so easily, it was at least the top 3 experts under him. However, at this moment, another voice sounded. Not necessarily. Perhaps Princess Kai Dai found another expert this time. Forget it. This time, we must find Dong Qianshan and ask him. Okay, I'll call him. The bald young man who arrived first let out a grin, before his thunderous voice echoed in the surroundings. Dong Qianshan, we've been here for so long, but you still haven't appeared? Could it be that your injuries are so serious? Humph. Not long after, a cold snort sounded from below. Then, a figure quickly appeared in the sky like a ghost. This figure was naturally Dong Qianshan. At this moment, his face was somewhat pale and his eyes were cold. It was obvious that he had suffered serious injuries. In addition, his reputation had been ruined, and his mental state had taken a hit. Now that he saw these old acquaintances, his face naturally turned even uglier. What, are you here to laugh at me? Dong Qianshan asked coldly. His voice was extremely cold. Chapter 1525. Don't think too much. We're just here to ask about the person who defeated you, the bald young man asked. Although they didn't show it, there was a trace of mockery on their faces. Obviously, they were disdainful of Dong Qianshan's defeat, especially at the hands of a one-star king. Humph. That kid is called Lin Xian. I don't know where he's from. However, the aura he exuded is indeed that of a one-star king, but his strength has surpassed that of a 3-star king. You don't have to mock me. If you don't believe me, you can challenge him and see if he's as powerful as the legends say. What? He's really only a 1-star king? Hearing this, everyone's expression became strange. The bald young man from before even revealed a trace of disdain. He's really a 1-star king. I say, Dong Qianshan, you're really regressing. You actually lost to a 1-star king. I really don't know how someone like you can become the third prince's subordinate. Don't be so arrogant. I can guarantee that you'll definitely lose if you fight with that person. Dong Qianshan stared at the bald young man with a cold expression. Then he continued in a cold voice, Since you already know about that young man, there's no need for you to stay in my family. Gentlemen, please. After saying that, he waved his sleeve and ignored these people. His figure flickered and flew down. Although these people were investigating Lin Xian's whereabouts, they had unquestionably opened up his old wounds. This made him very unhappy. All right, let's go meet that Lin Xian guy and see if he's as powerful as the legends say. Or is someone too useless to withstand a single blow? With that, the bald young man laughed loudly 3 times. Then his body rose from the ground and shot up into the sky like a ray of light. The figures of the other few people also swayed and disappeared into the sky. They naturally didn't know where Lin Xian was, but they could guess that since he was invited by Princess Kai Dai, he must be participating in the martial arts conference. The martial arts conference was held in the imperial city of the Empire of Dexian. Therefore, they only needed to head to the imperial city. These people turned into streaks of light, with ferocious smiles on their faces, and quickly rushed towards the imperial city. The imperial city was the most flourishing city in the Grand Xian Empire. The area it occupied was so vast that it was comparable to an ordinary small country. One could only imagine how prosperous the imperial city was. Half a month later, Lin Xian arrived at the bustling royal city. Along the way, he heard news about himself everywhere. However, no one came to bother him. The reason was very simple. Not many people had actually seen him before. Most of them had only heard about him from rumors. However, along the way, he had also come to understand the current situation of the Grand Xian Empire. Within the Great Xian Empire, the clans were flourishing and had reached an inconceivable height. Amongst them, the strongest clan was the Yuan clan, the royal family of the Great Xian Empire, and this martial arts conference was held by the Yuan family for these princes and princesses. Among these princes and princesses, the first prince and the third prince were the strongest and ranked first. The second was Princess Kai Dai, the seventh prince and the fourth prince. Apart from this, there were also the third and fourth echelons. However, these princes were relatively weak, so Lin Xian did not pay attention to them. Lin Xian was still very curious about this Princess Kai Dai, because among so many experts, most of them were princes and only one princess. One could imagine that she must be an extremely outstanding talent. Otherwise, it would be impossible for her to occupy the second echelon among so many princes. After arriving at the imperial city, Lin Xian did not go to the princess residence. Instead, he strolled around, feeling the prosperity of the Grand Xian Empire's imperial city. The Fengyue brothel was a very famous restaurant in the imperial city. Here, genius cultivators from various aristocratic families could often be seen. Sometimes even princes could be seen. It could be said that this was one of the most lively places in the imperial city. Lin Xian entered the Fengyue brothel and ordered a pot of good wine and a few exquisite dishes. Then he sat by the window and slowly tasted the wine. During this time, a few aristocratic family disciples were talking loudly. The news they were talking about was very strange. It was all some strange news in the eastern wilderness. It could not be helped. The eastern wilderness was too mysterious. There were many powerful cultivators who were like gods and demons. Did you know? It said that an ancient tomb was dug up not long ago. It seems to be the cave of an expert from the ancient era. It alarmed the remote antiquity aristocratic families and peerless sacred grounds. I heard about it too. It said that an incredible treasure appeared and was obtained by the Yi family in the end. Not necessarily. The Jade Lake sacred ground and the Purple Dawn sacred ground are both extremely terrifying. Even if the Yi family is a remote antiquity aristocratic family, they can't stop the other provinces from joining forces with the Time Sacred Ground, right? Who knows? In any case, it's all about the remote antiquity aristocratic families and the peerless sacred grounds. The others can't get it at all. Yeah, and the Yi family is extremely terrifying. Back then, Emperor Yi single-handedly dominated the ancient era and suppressed the 9 heavens and 10 lands. He can be said to be extremely powerful. I'm afraid that even among the great emperors, he's an extremely powerful existence. These people discussed animatedly. Most of them were talking about the rumors. However, this kind of new secret rumor was hard for ordinary people to hear. Therefore, all the cultivators in the restaurant listened with great interest. Even Lin Xian was very curious. Emperor Yi? Is the Yi family one of the remote antiquity aristocratic families? Lin Xian asked in a low voice. Yes, the Yi family is one of the remote antiquity aristocratic families. They once had a great emperor who was called Emperor Yi. It's said that he's extremely terrifying. Even among the great emperors, he's an extremely powerful existence. He too said in a deep voice. The Crimson Dragon was drooling. Damn, what kind of treasure did they dig up? Even the remote antiquity aristocratic families and sacred grounds are alarmed? It must be a shocking treasure. Damn, Ben Huang wants to go too. The Crimson Dragon was a restless person. Naturally, he was drooling over such a good thing. He too said ruthlessly, You won't even be enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. I reckon that the aftermath of the battle will be enough to kill you. If you ask me, it's more likely that your dragon ancestor will go. Lin Xian was also puzzled. By the way, Rizalong, aren't you from the dragon clan? Where's your family? Why haven't I seen you go back? Is it not in the eastern continent? Humph. Ben Huang ran away from home. Don't mention any family to me. The Crimson Dragon was very unhappy when he heard the word family. There must be a story behind it. However, since the Crimson Dragon was unwilling, Lin Xian did not ask further. However, at this moment, the disciples of the aristocratic families started discussing again. Chapter 1526. Let's not talk about those things. After all, the clan of the ancients and the sacred grounds are too far away from us. Let's talk about the internal affairs of the Xian country. Internal affairs? What's there to talk about? The only thing I can talk about is the upcoming martial arts conference. Hey, have you heard? It's said that a mysterious young man appeared in the Azure Moon Dojo and defeated Dong Qianshan with an extremely valiant attitude. I've also heard that the mysterious youth is only a one-star king. It's just a rumor. Don't take it seriously. That person is definitely hiding his strength. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to defeat a 3-star king. Unless he's one of those geniuses from the Holy Lands. But how could those disciples from the sacred grounds and remote antiquity families come to the great Xian Empire and become Princess Kai Dai's subordinates? Thus, that person must be concealing his cultivation. That's right. No matter how powerful he is, he only defeated Dong Qianshan. It's impossible for him to defeat all of the third prince's subordinates. Indeed, Dong Qianshan is only ranked 10th under the third prince. No matter how strong that person is, it's impossible for him to be ranked in the top 5. If Princess Kai Dai wants to enter the first tier, I'm afraid it's simply impossible. That's right. Other than the first prince and the third prince, no one else can enter the first echelon. There are only a few people in the second echelon. However, I've heard that apart from the disciples of the aristocratic families of our Grand Xian Empire, there are also people from the surrounding countries and even those islands that have come to participate in this martial competition. Truly a group of idiots. Is the martial competition of my Grand Xian Empire so easy to participate in? Those people are just frogs at the bottom of a well. They still want to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat in this martial arts conference. They are really courting death. A group of people were talking and laughing. Humph. However, at this moment, a cold snort came from the side. You're just a few stubborn disciples of aristocratic families. How dare you talk nonsense here? How laughable! Hearing this, everyone's expression changed, and they all turned their heads to look. Not far away, a black-clothed young man sat with a gloomy expression. He was the one who had spoken those cold words earlier. However, a few well-dressed young masters of aristocratic families sitting in the center only glanced at him coldly. After that, he didn't pay much attention to it. It was as if he was just air, completely ignoring that person. Then they started chatting and laughing again. Actually, there are many aspects to this matter. Although the martial arts of these countries are not good, that woman is very beautiful. Some of them are even famous throughout the world. Now that you mention it, I remember. It said that there were 3 exceptional beauties in the Azure Moon Plaza. 2 of them entered the sacred land, while the last one went somewhere unknown. But it shouldn't be too bad. Let's not think about entering the Holy Land. I can consider the beauties from the nearby countries. It can be considered their good fortune for them to have married into the aristocratic families of my Grand Xian Empire. I heard that in Jinju country, there's a beauty called Jade Beauty. I wonder if she came this time? Who wants to sleep with that kind of beauty for a night? I'm willing to spend any amount of money. The few of them chatted and laughed, completely ignoring the surrounding countries. Humph. Jinyu country, Li Fang, come to ask for advice. I'd like to see what you hedonistic sons have to be so arrogant about. The black-clothed youth who snorted coldly earlier stood up again, his eyes blooming with a biting cold, killing intent. Seeing this scene, everyone exclaimed. They didn't expect this youth to be a warrior of Jinju country. No wonder he was so angry earlier. Who do you think you are? Are you worthy of fighting with us? The few aristocratic family disciples sneered disdainfully. Whether I'm worthy or not, you'll know after you try. Li Fang's voice was cold. Then he waved his arm and a golden light quickly slashed forward. Whoosh! Everyone exclaimed. They didn't expect that the other party would really dare to fight here. However, the disdain on the faces of the aristocratic family disciples was even stronger. Someone like you actually dares to fight us? You're really courting death. Among them, one of the aristocratic family disciples snorted coldly. Then, without turning his head, he waved his palm. Suddenly, a ball of green flame flew out quickly and collided with the golden saber light. The next moment, the golden light was burned clean. Not only that, the green flame instantly shrouded the black-clothed warrior. Then, it emitted a bright light and burned him into a bloody mist. Whoosh! Whoosh! In just a moment, the black-clothed warrior was burned clean. Even the bloody mist in the air disappeared. Nothing was left. What? So powerful! When the surrounding warriors saw this scene, their eyes widened in disbelief. Even Lin Xian revealed a trace of bewilderment. He realized that although these aristocratic family disciples were arrogant and conceited, they were indeed very powerful. After killing the black-clothed warrior with a palm, the young man in luxurious clothes laughed. I really didn't want to fight, but that guy was too arrogant. He dared to provoke us, so I could only kill him. Hee hee, so what if trash like him dies? What's the big deal? However, Zhou Tian, the power of your blue sky fire has increased by quite a bit, right? Looking at it, you should have reached the level of a 3-star king, right? That's right. With this flame, I'm afraid even a 3-star king wouldn't dare to provoke you. The martial artists from the surrounding countries are really idiots. How dare they fight with Zhou Tian? When these words were said, the atmosphere in the restaurant became tense. This was because there were martial artists from all over the world in this restaurant. Many of them were from other countries. When they heard these words, they were naturally angry. Lin Xian didn't care because his vision was very broad now. Although the young man who attacked previously was powerful, he was still inferior to Dong Qianshan. Even Dong Qianshan wasn't his opponent, not to mention these people. Therefore, he didn't care about these people's words at all. He was just trying to get information that was useful to him. However, the same could not be said for the others. Some of the people in the private rooms were from the surrounding countries. They were all elites of heaven. When had they ever been ridiculed? Naturally, their faces were gloomy, especially the few warriors from Jinju country. Their faces were terrifyingly dark. Although they didn't know the black-clothed warrior, he was still someone from Jinju country. Yet he was killed like this. He didn't put Jinju country in his eyes at all. Therefore, for a moment, many experts from Jinju country released their terrifying, killing intent. However, these aristocratic family disciples didn't care at all. They even sneered. I don't care which country you're from. Since you've come to the imperial city of the great Xian Empire, if you're a dragon, you'll have to lie down. If you're a tiger, you'll have to lie down. You're not allowed to be presumptuous here. Chapter 1527. Jinju Country's Han Kuan. Come and experience it. A tall and sturdy young man stood up and walked over with large strides. His body emitted a terrifying aura, like a demonic mountain, causing the entire void to tremble. However, at this time, a beautiful little maid blocked his way. My master invites you for tea. I'll let you be proud for a while. In a while, I'll let you know the power of my Jinju country. Han Kuan snorted and followed the little maid into a private room. Sigh, you really don't know what death is. If it wasn't for someone stopping you, I'm afraid you'd be a dead man now. Several disciples sneered. These countries, do they really think there are experts? No, to be exact, there should be 1 or 1.5. One of the disciples said in a deep voice, There's actually one more. Why didn't I know? Who is it? Demonic Blade Ren Tianya. Demonic Blade? You mean him? Hearing this, those disciples nodded slightly. He could indeed be considered an expert. I also heard that his blade technique is very fast. No one could see him make a move. Anyone who saw him draw his blade is already dead. But speaking of which, no one knows where he came from. So he can't be considered as someone from the surrounding countries. That's right, several people nodded in agreement. However, someone asked, Then who is the other half? It's that mysterious young man who defeated Dong Qianshan on Songhua Square. Although I don't know where he came from, he should be considered as half an expert. Not bad to be able to defeat Dong Qianshan. He can indeed be considered an expert. I didn't expect that the surrounding countries would only have 1.5 experts. However, it's not certain whether these 2 people are from these countries. It seems that my Dexian Empire is still the most powerful. Hearing this, the warriors of Dexian Empire laughed, while the warriors from the surrounding countries looked gloomy. Being ridiculed in public, they naturally lost face. Moreover, many of them were incomparably angry. However, the methods used by those disciples were really too terrifying. These people were not ignorant and incompetent, stubborn disciples, but powerful disciples of aristocratic families. Therefore, they had the right to be arrogant. If Ren Tianya was here, they definitely wouldn't dare to be arrogant. Several martial artists from the neighboring countries gritted their teeth. Ren Tianya was a very valiant martial artist. He was very famous for his swift saber moves. No one had seen him make a move. Anyone who had seen him draw his saber had been killed. No one knew which country he came from, but it was said that he often appeared in the surrounding countries. If that mysterious expert was here, these people wouldn't dare to act like this. The mysterious powerhouse they spoke of was naturally Lin Xian. Ever since Lin Xian had injured Dong Qianshan last time, it could be said that his reputation had spread. Now, everyone knew that such an existence existed. However, what they didn't know was that Lin Xian was currently in the Wind Moon restaurant. In another private room, the tall Han Kuan sat there with an extremely solemn expression. He looked at the martial artists opposite him and slowly said, "Thank you for your good intentions, but that guy is really too hateful. He actually dared to humiliate my Jinju country in public. Therefore, this battle must go on no matter what." At this moment, sitting opposite Han Kuan were several martial artists. They were all young and did not exceed 30 years old. Among them, there was a woman who was very beautiful. Her delicate face seemed to be carved out of jade. Not only that, her pair of bright eyes were full of spirituality. As they moved, they seemed to be able to speak. This beautiful woman was the legendary Jade Beauty of Jinju country. Beside her, there were also a few people sitting. However, the one closest to her was a handsome young man. There was a vigorous vitality between his eyebrows. This person was her brother. Previously, it was this brother and sister pair who invited Han Kuan over and prevented him from fighting with those disciples of aristocratic families. However, now it seemed that Han Kuan was very insistent on fighting with the other party. Therefore, everyone sighed. To be honest, they were also very angry, especially Jade Beauty, whose face was solemn, because previously those disciples of aristocratic families were very frivolous in their words. However, they did not dare to act blindly without thinking, because the strength displayed by those disciples of aristocratic families was very powerful. That battle strength was definitely at the level of a 3-star king, or even stronger. Moreover, the other party, as a disciple of an aristocratic family of the great Qian Empire, definitely had a lot of powerful martial arts in their hands. Therefore, they did not dare to act blindly without thinking. However, Han Kuan shook his head. His temper was very violent and naturally would not allow others to provoke him, not to mention this kind of public humiliation. Therefore, after thanking Jade Beauty and her brother again, he strode out of the private room. "I'm back. Today, I'll experience what qualifications do you have to be arrogant." Han Kuan strode over, light flowing around his body, carrying a powerful aura. His palms seemed to have turned into metal, carrying an ice-cold light. Grabbing in the air, he grabbed a chair around him and then smashed it forward. Originally, this was just an ordinary chair, but now its surface was covered with a layer of metallic luster, as if it had become a divine weapon, sharp and unstoppable. Even the entire void was trembling rapidly. What kind of technique is this?" the surrounding people exclaimed. They also noticed this change. However, the disciples of aristocratic families in the center sneered. Among them, Zhou Tian snorted coldly, then waved his hand. Immediately, a ball of green flame quickly floated out and collided with the metallized chair. Chi-chi! Then the sound of collision was heard. As if ice and snow had melted, the chair instantly turned into a pool of molten iron and fell to the ground. "You dare to make a fool of yourself with such petty tricks?" Zhou Tian sneered. The surrounding people were shocked. The chair just now had turned into a divine weapon. Its power was even more terrifying than that of a top-tier spiritual artifact. However, under the green flame, it could not resist at all and was turned into molten iron. This green flame was too terrifying, wasn't it? The other disciples of aristocratic families were also surprised. "Zhou Tian, why do I feel that you've entered the realm of a 3-star king?" The green flame was incomparably mysterious, turning the entire sky green. Han Kuan's expression was cold as he said coldly, "Today, I'll show you the power of my Jinju country." The aura on Han Kuan's body was so powerful that it had already reached the realm of a 3-star king. The entire void trembled as if it was about to shatter. Chapter 1528. In the next moment, his body swayed, and like a phantom, he charged forward. In an instant, he was in front of Zhou Tian, and his terrifying palm slammed down. The cold sound of metal clashing against metal could be heard as the palm slammed down. Like a sudden clap of thunder, it exploded in the surroundings. Immediately, all the martial artists in the Fengyue brothel looked over. This palm was too terrifying. No one below the level of a 3-star king could withstand it. However, Zhou Tian sneered with a calm expression. His body swayed, and he transformed into countless green lights, disappearing from the spot. "Since you want to fight, I'll play with you. However, let's not fight in the Fengyue brothel. Otherwise, I can't afford to pay for the damage." As he spoke, he had already arrived in the sky outside. It seemed that the background of the Fengyue brothel was not simple. Even Zhou Tian did not dare to offend them. "It's the same everywhere," Han Kuan shouted coldly. His body swayed, and he flew out as well. It was obvious that there were hundreds of golden rays of light revolving around him at high speed. The terrifying golden lights seemed to tear the sky apart, emitting a terrifying aura. On his body, a golden armor seemed to have formed, exuding a mysterious power as it charged toward Zhou Tian. Zhou Tian sneered. His body moved like a phantom, moving rapidly in the air, leaving behind countless afterimages. This was a very mysterious footwork, and he quickly dodged the golden lights that Han Kuan had shot out. His movements were extremely elegant, as if he was on a scenic tour. Haha, too slow. Watch my counterattack. Zhou Tian sneered, then waved his hand. Suddenly, green lights surged rapidly, filling all directions, and charged toward Han Kuan. These green flames were too terrifying. They were like the flames of hell, able to melt everything. Even weapons below the level of Earth-rank treasures could not withstand this heat. Clearly, this was Zhou Tian's origin source flame, and he had refined it to a terrifying level. Boom! In the next moment, Han Kuan's expression changed drastically. This was because he realized that the green flames had entered his golden domain. Some of the golden lights were even melted by the green flames. Damn it! Han Kuan's face was gloomy. He didn't expect that he would suffer a hidden loss in an instant. This caused him to be extremely shocked. What shocked him even more was the green flame. It was obvious that his opponent's cultivation was only at the late stage of a 2-star king realm, while he was a true 3-star king realm. However, his opponent's green flames were actually able to threaten him. It must be said that this was truly too shocking. When the crowd saw this scene, they cried out in surprise. At the same time, the genius martial artists from the surrounding countries walked out from the private rooms. Among them, the Jade Beauty and her brother had solemn expressions. They realized that the other party was too mysterious and too powerful. The green flames, in particular, made them feel a sense of trepidation. Ascend to heaven and descend to hell. Zhou Tian's expression became even more smug when he saw that all the genius martial artists from various countries had come to watch the battle. He quickly waved his hand, forming a green domain around him. At the same time, the green domain quickly churned, and a green palace quickly formed. That green palace was too terrifying. It emitted an aura that made one's heart tremble. It was like a heavenly palace, incomparably mysterious. As soon as it appeared, a green light instantly covered the entire sky. Even the king realm around Han Kuan started to burn. This scene was simply too terrifying. Han Kuan was a 3-star king realm, and his king realm was incomparably terrifying. However, at this moment, it actually started to burn. This made everyone extremely shocked. Even Lin Xian was slightly surprised. His eyes flickered as he looked at the sky. At this moment, the green palace in the sky was incomparably mysterious, and it was emitting a bright light. Countless green flames burned fiercely above it, as if it was a heavenly palace. Not good. This is probably an extremely terrifying secret technique of the Great Xian Empire. Those green flames seemed to be the blue sky flames. They had heard that these flames were extremely terrifying when they fell from the sky. They did not expect this young man to possess such a mysterious flame. The Jade Beauty and her brother frowned. Obviously, they had also heard of this flame. Then they quickly sent a voice transmission. Brother Han, please stop. Those flames are too terrifying. There is no need to continue fighting. Indeed, they were very worried about Han Kuan's safety. However, Han Kuan's expression was gloomy. He looked ahead and suddenly shouted, "Gold Realm, kill for me." In the next moment, the gold realm around Han Kuan emitted a bright light. Then, streaks of terrifying golden light shot up into the sky. They were like swords, sabers, and spears that quickly filled the entire sky. In an instant, the entire space was covered by the golden light. The surrounding space started to tremble. This aura was too powerful. It even made all the martial artists tremble. Cracks appeared in many places in the sky. It could not withstand this aura at all. Boom, boom. The incomparably mysterious green palace bloomed and violently collided with the thousands of golden lights in the sky. Streaks of black cracks appeared like an abyss. It was extremely terrifying. The scene was too terrifying. In an instant, many of the golden lights were burned to ashes. However, there were even more golden rays of light that blotted out the sky and covered the earth as they charged forward. Blue sky palm. Zhou Tian sneered and waved his palm. Suddenly, the green palace behind him surged rapidly. A large hand that was burning with green flames reached out from the palace. It was like the palm of a demon god. It quickly blasted forward. Boom, boom, boom. This green flame palm was too terrifying. As soon as it appeared, it caused a large patch of golden light to disappear. Black holes appeared in the void one after another. In an instant, the golden light was destroyed. The green palm quickly attacked Han Kuan. That terrifying palm wind and flames were already about to burn Han Kuan. Feeling this terrifying energy, Han Kuan's face changed again. He had no choice but to retreat quickly. Like a streak of golden light, he instantly retreated into the distance. Humph! You want to fight with this young master with your little tricks? You're overestimating yourself. Zhou Tian sneered disdainfully. The disciples of the aristocratic families who came with him also laughed out loud. Their voices were filled with mockery. Brother Zhou, I have to say that you're really surprising. Although you're only a late-stage 2-star king, your blue sky flame is too terrifying. I'm afraid that even a 3-star king is not your match. Not only that, I think even a slightly more powerful 3-star king is not Brother Zhou's match. Blue sky flame is indeed a divine flame that descended from the heavens. It's really terrifying. Ha 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 ha. Is this the strength of an expert from Jinyu Nation? What a disappointment. Chapter 1529. They talked and laughed, their words full of mockery. They didn't care about Han Kuan's and the other people's expressions. They didn't need to care at all. The disciples of the aristocratic families looked at Jade Beauty and her sister at the side. When they saw Jade Beauty, their eyes shone with a fiery light. One had to admit that Jade Beauty was too beautiful. She was like a fairy that had fallen into the mortal world. Many cultivators around them swallowed their saliva. The disciples of the aristocratic families were even more dazzled as they looked over from time to time. However, they didn't make a move. They were the disciples of the aristocratic families of the great Xian Empire. They had status and strength. They couldn't do something like snatching someone away. What they hoped to do was to use their strength and charm to conquer the other party. This was their pride and confidence as the disciples of the aristocratic families. However, on the other side, Han Kuan's face was terrifyingly gloomy. As a 3-star king and a young genius of the Jinju Nation, he had never been ridiculed like this. Therefore, with a furious roar, he charged forward again. Looking at Han Kuan, who was charging over, Zhou Tian smiled disdainfully. It's useless. It's futile to continue fighting. Zhou Tian sneered and shook his head. Although I'm only a late-stage 2-star king, I have the blue sky flame, which allows me to contend against 3-star kings. Even ordinary 3-star kings are no match for me. Although you're also a 3-star king, you have no chance of winning against me. Seeing that your talent is not bad, why don't you become my slave? As long as you serve me faithfully, my Zhou family won't mistreat you. Bullsh *T. Die. Han Kuan was furious. He was a genius of the Jinju Nation. How could he become someone's slave? Therefore, he roared angrily, and the golden domain around him shone with brilliant light. Huge golden sword qi surged out of his body and quickly slashed forward. However, Zhou Tian sneered disdainfully. He waved his hand, and the green palace behind him shone brightly. A green flame appeared in the air, emitting a terrifying power and shattering all the golden sword chi. Then he waved his hands, and 2 green palms shot out and slapped Han Kuan, sending him flying. See, this is the difference between us. Zhou Tian was like a god of war, looking down on all directions. The other disciples from the other aristocratic families also burst into laughter, their eyes filled with disdain. However, Zhou Tian said coldly again, "I'll give you a choice. Become my slave. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless." As he finished speaking, a sharp killing intent surged from his body. "Stop!" Jade Beauty and her brother could not bear to watch any longer. With a flash of their bodies, they quickly came to Han Kuan's side and helped him up. "Forget it, don't fight anymore." That person is too terrifying, especially that blue sky flame. It's a legendary divine flame that descended from the heavens. Although your cultivation is higher than his, you are still no match for him. Io, what a beautiful person. Zhou Tian looked to the front and revealed a smile. From the looks of it, you must be the legendary Jade Beauty. Zhou Tian nodded. I've heard that the Jade Beauty's appearance is unparalleled. Now that I've seen it for myself, it's indeed true. She's even prettier than the legends. Indeed, she is a peerless beauty. Beside him, the other disciples of the aristocratic families also laughed heartily, their eyes filled with passion. Humph! Jade Beauty snorted coldly. To be honest, the gazes of those people made her uncomfortable. However, she could not retaliate and could only pretend that she did not see them. At this moment, most of the people were looking at the beautiful figure in the middle of the field. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he looked to the front and nodded slightly. However, his eyes were clear and there was no infatuation in them. Moreover, he had no intention of interfering with what was happening in front of him because all of this had nothing to do with him. At this moment, Zhou Tian spoke again. For the sake of the beauty, I'll spare your life today. However, next time, if you're so blind to provoke me again, don't blame me for killing you. The other disciples of the aristocratic families also smirked. They quickly glanced around and fixed their eyes on another person. There's another beauty. Look at her appearance. She's not inferior to Jade Beauty at all. The disciples of the aristocratic families looked to the front, and there was also a beautiful figure. She was wearing a pure white long dress and looked ethereal with a hint of Jiangnan's grace. It was as if the coldest ice could melt under her gaze. Looking at you, you must be Bai Yuran from the Bai family, right? I didn't expect to see two peerless beauties at the same time today. How wonderful. Alas, it's a pity that I have no chance to meet the three beauties who entered the Holy Land at Sangyue Square. It's really a pity. However, no matter how beautiful those three beauties are, I don't think they can compare to these two beauties. After feeling sad for a while, the disciples of the aristocratic families laughed loudly. Then they looked around and spoke loudly. Today, we're going to have a heart-to-heart talk with these two beauties. Those who have nothing to do with it, get lost. Leave this place. This place is not open to the public today. If anyone dares to stay, don't blame me for being rude. Humph, if you don't want to die, get lost. Cold shouts were heard. Clearly, these disciples of the aristocratic families wanted to take over the entire Wind Moon restaurant. Jade Beauty and Bai Yuran were extremely pale. However, their eyes were filled with anger. They did not expect that the other party would dare to take liberties with them in public. Beside the Jade Beauty, the handsome young man also had a face full of anger. The other party dared to harbor ill intentions towards his younger sister. This filled his heart with murderous intent. Humph! This Wind Moon restaurant is a public place. Anyone can enter and leave. But you want to take it all for yourselves. Don't you think you're too arrogant? A cold voice sounded. Clearly, They were very displeased with the behavior of the disciples of the aristocratic families. Why? Do you have a problem with that? The disciples of the aristocratic families sneered. At that moment, Zhou Tian's expression darkened. Humph. Looks like the warning I gave you just now was not enough. I advise you to leave obediently. Otherwise, you might have to crawl out. Don't talk big. I've long wanted to experience your blue sky fire. Let's see if your blue sky fire is more powerful than my earth fire. Earth fire? Hearing that, the disciples of the aristocratic families were stunned. Zhou Tian was also stunned. So, you're from Fire Cloud Country? I heard that Fire Cloud Country has a very powerful earth fire. Today, I'll see for myself if it's as rumored. Humph, you'll see for yourself. Then a figure walked out. Chapter 1530. He was an extremely ordinary youth, but his body was glowing with a red light. At the same time, a terrifying heat wave spread out, causing the surrounding space to quickly distort. Earth fire was a terrifying underground flame that was extremely rare. It was very famous in the nearby countries. Thus, when the red-clothed youth appeared, the surrounding cultivators all held their breaths and carefully watched. At the same time, they hoped that this youth would be able to defeat these arrogant, aristocratic family disciples and help them vent their anger. Sky Palm! Zhou Tian coldly snorted, and immediately 2 large green palms shot out, covering the sky and covering the earth as if they were going to tear the sky apart. As for the youth from the Fire Cloud Nation, he also let out a long roar, his body emitting a fiery red light. A huge red python appeared around him, quickly forming a fiery red domain. Earth Fire Domain! This was a domain formed by boundless earth fire, and it was extremely terrifying. Just that aura alone caused the surrounding people to pale. To the side, Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes and carefully observed. He discovered that this true spirit world was truly amazing. The domains of these cultivators were too mysterious, and even he was extremely surprised. It seemed that the martial Tao of this true spirit world was countless times stronger than that of the Tianwu continent. However, facing so many geniuses, Lin Xian's expression was calm. He was extremely confident in himself. He knew that with his talent and strength, he definitely wouldn't lose to anyone. Thus, at this moment, he slowly raised his wine cup and savored it as he watched the battle. It was as if everything around him had nothing to do with him. Unfortunately, everyone was focused on the battle and no one was watching. If someone was watching carefully, they would definitely be extremely shocked. At this moment, Lin Xian's surroundings were filled with a formless energy, causing the shock waves of the battle to be unable to approach him. It could be said that wherever he said he was, it was an absolute safe zone. Everywhere outside of him was filled with berserk energy. The surrounding cultivators had no choice but to activate their armors and king domains to defend themselves. Otherwise, they would be roasted into a bloody mist by the terrifying heat. Earth fire, burn all things! Facing the terrifying green palm, the youth from the Fire Cloud Nation also counterattacked. He snorted coldly as balls of fiery red light surged out of his body, forming an endless sea of red flames that burned in all directions. Then he threw out a punch. Suddenly, the earthly fire domain sect also trembled rapidly, forming an incomparably huge fist that violently slammed forward. It was as if the sky was about to be torn apart. In the next moment, the 2 different flames collided with each other, emitting an earth-shattering sound of collision. Terrifying energy swept out in all directions. Everyone was incomparably nervous because this battle concerned whether or not they could continue to stay here. If the youth from the Flaming Cloud Nation lost, then all of them would be thrown out by the disciples of these aristocratic families. At that time, they would definitely lose all face and be too ashamed to face anyone. In the sky, the red flames collided with the green flames, instantly covering half of the sky. Seeing this scene, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Then the warriors from the surrounding countries began to sneer. Humph! I originally thought that the aristocratic families of the Xian country had some powerful methods. I didn't expect him to be so weak. Looks like stubborn disciples are stubborn disciples who only know how to talk big. That's right. You want to chase all of us away? Dream on. How laughable. Do you really think that you can ignore everything just because you're from the Xian country? Is this the power of an aristocratic family disciple? That's all there is to it. A group of people mocked and ridiculed. It was obvious that they were already very dissatisfied with these aristocratic family disciples, but they didn't dare to say it before. Now that they saw that someone could resist the sky fire, they immediately began to mock and ridicule. On the other hand, the aristocratic family disciples had cold smiles on their faces. Zhou Tian snorted coldly, then quickly waved his arm. The green palace flew out quickly, following his movements, blasting forward. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out, and the green palace emitted an incomparably resplendent light, directly tearing apart the red flames. Then, in an extremely violent manner, it viciously crashed into the youth from the Flaming Cloud Nation. Boom! As if struck by lightning, the youth from the Flaming Shadow Nation spat out large mouthfuls of blood and flew backwards. The fiery red flames that filled the sky instantly disappeared. What? He lost! Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. As for the warriors from the surrounding countries, their faces turned pale in disbelief. Lost? How could he have lost? Weren't they evenly matched just now? What happened? How could he have lost in an instant? They really couldn't understand, and all of them were in despair. On the other hand, the aristocratic family disciples laughed loudly. How could Zhou Tian lose to someone else? Now it seems that he was indeed hiding his strength. Of course, I just wanted to play with him, but now I'm not in the mood. Zhou Tian sneered. What? Hiding his strength? How could he still be hiding his strength? How strong is he? When the warriors from the surrounding countries heard this, their faces instantly turned pale. They didn't dare to imagine what kind of strength the other party had. On the other hand, Zhou Tian sneered, All right, everyone, we're going to have a heart-to-heart talk with the two beauties. Those who have nothing to do with it should leave quickly. Otherwise, don't blame me for starting a massacre. Don't be so arrogant, I'll do it. Jade Beauty's brother roared and took a step forward. His body emitted an extremely terrifying energy. At the same time, the surrounding warriors also looked ferocious, and the auras from their bodies were linked together, as if they were going to collapse the entire sky. In an instant, the aura of energy swept through the entire void. In fact, there were even cracks in many places. What, you want to fight? Zhou Tian sneered, and the other aristocratic family disciples also snorted. Then they stood together and unleashed their regal domains. Suddenly, a monstrous and terrifying aura spread out, as if 100,000 mountains were pressing down on the sky. Immediately, the surrounding warriors were all pushed back. What? So strong? How is that possible? How can they be so strong? The warriors from the surrounding countries shook their heads frantically, unable to believe it. They were too strong. There were only 5 of them, but the aura they emitted was more terrifying than the dozens of people on their side. It was as if a wild beast was looking down on them. This made them feel a sense of despair. Humph, stubborn. Since you want to die, don't blame me for not showing mercy. Zhou Tian snorted coldly, waved his large black palm, and quickly slapped out. Immediately, the few cultivators in the vicinity were all sent flying. In an instant, more than 10 warriors were sent flying out of the Fengyue brothel. As for the remaining people, their expressions were even uglier. Chapter 1531. However, The surrounding disciples of the aristocratic families also quickly took action and threw all these people out. Don't do anything. We'll leave on our own. Soon, the local martial artists of the Great Xian Empire quickly left. As for the martial artists of the surrounding countries, they were mercilessly thrown out. The Wind Moon Tavern, which was originally packed with people, was now much less crowded, leaving behind countless empty spaces. Damn it! The youth from the Fire Cloud Nation roared angrily. He wanted to counterattack again, but he was once again sent flying by the green flames. I can't accept this. Han Kuan also roared angrily. He used his metal domain and attacked again. In the end, he was sent flying by a single punch from an aristocratic family disciple. Damn it! How dare you touch my sister? I'll fight you to the death. That handsome youth was in a frenzy, but he was mercilessly thrown out by an aristocratic family disciple. In an instant, only the Jade Beauty and Bai Yuran were left in the Wind Moon restaurant. Their faces were pale. They wanted to escape, but they were held in place by an invisible force and could not move at all. All right, we've finally thrown away those annoying ants. Now we can have a good talk. The aristocratic family disciples laughed and walked forward, but soon they frowned, and a trace of coldness appeared in their eyes, because they realized that there was a figure sitting by the window. Zhou Tian and the others realized that there was a person sitting by the window. They were extremely surprised because they did not expect that there would be someone who dared to be here. Moreover, they had not noticed before. Immediately, the aristocratic family disciples' faces darkened, and one of them said coldly, "Are you deaf? Why are you still here? Get out of here." However, the figure in the distance did not move. He continued to lean against the window and drink alone. Seeing this scene, several people frowned. Even the Jade Beauty and Bai Yuran were puzzled. They did not expect that there would be someone who dared to be here. Could it be that this person is an expert? A glimmer of hope rose in their hearts. But soon they laughed bitterly, because they realized that the other party's aura was pitifully weak. He had just entered the king realm. How could such a person be an expert? With a sigh, the two of them could not help but worry about that figure. The aristocratic family disciple who had scolded him earlier also had a dark expression. He didn't expect that the other party would dare to ignore him. This made him furious. A moment later, he laughed viciously and shouted coldly. This time, the voice contained an incomparably powerful energy that rushed forward. "Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." His voice turned into a murderous sound wave that quickly blasted forward. This sound wave was extremely terrifying. Even a 2-star King Realm expert would not be able to block it, let alone the figure in front of him. Jade Beauty and Bai Yuran cried out in surprise, while the disciples of the aristocratic family sneered. Anyone who dared to go against them would definitely end up in a miserable state. However, in the next moment, all of them widened their eyes. That was because that terrifying sound wave surged forward, but it suddenly disappeared, like a stone sinking into the sea. What's going on? It didn't work. The disciples of the aristocratic families all frowned. As for the person who had attacked earlier, he had a gloomy expression. "Impossible, how could I have failed?" "Brat, who are you? How did you dodge my attack?" As an expert, it was impossible for him to miss, so the other party must have used some unknown method to dodge his attack. The figure sitting in front was naturally Lin Xian. Previously, when these disciples of the aristocratic families were fighting with the warriors from the surrounding countries, he had only watched without any intention of interfering, because these matters had nothing to do with him. However, just because he didn't cause trouble didn't mean that he was afraid of trouble. Later, these disciples of the aristocratic families chased everyone out of Wind Moon Restaurant, which undoubtedly made him unhappy. After all, he was also drinking in Wind Moon Restaurant now. Now, the other party was even more aggressive and wanted to attack him. How could he tolerate that? In the next moment, Lin Xian frowned and said coldly, "What's the matter? Is it very difficult to dodge your attack?" Although his voice was steady, it contained a trace of disdain. It was as if dodging that murderous sound wave was an extremely ordinary thing. "How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? Do you know who I am?" The disciple of the aristocratic family's face was gloomy, and his voice was cold and murderous. "Who you are has nothing to do with me. As long as you don't disturb me while I'm drinking, I won't attack you," Lin Xian said slowly. "What? You still want to attack me?" When the disciples of the aristocratic families heard that, they were so angry that they laughed. Good, good, good. Kid, looks like the warning I gave you just now wasn't enough. What? Do you want me to break your legs personally and make you crawl here? Only then will you be afraid, right? What's the point of talking to him? Just break his legs and throw him out. Don't waste our time here. Yeah, don't you see the two beauties beside him waiting anxiously? Ha 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 ha. Kid, you don't know what's good for you. Consider yourself unlucky to be in our line of fire. I think there's no need to throw you out. It'll save us a lot of trouble if we just kill you. All right, I'll do it. I'll burn him to ashes. That way, nothing will be left and he won't ruin our fun. Zhou Tian said nonchalantly, then he struck out with his palm. To be honest, he did not care about Lin Xian at all, because he had already checked earlier on. Lin Xian was only a one-star king. This kind of cultivation did not interest him at all. After all, even a 3-star king might not be a match for him, much less a 1-star king. The next moment, a green flame flew out from between his fingers and quickly floated toward Lin Xian. When they saw the green flame, Jade Beauty and Bai Yuran screamed again. This was not the first time the green flame had appeared, and each time it displayed great power. When the assassin used it again, the other party would not be able to resist. They were not the only ones. The surrounding ancient martial art practitioners also cried out in alarm, because although those ancient martial art practitioners had been sent flying, they had not left. They were all watching from the vicinity of Fengyue Brothel. However, Zhou Tian and the others had set up an array around Fengyue Brothel. They could only see the situation inside but could not enter. Even if they tried to break the array forcefully, they could not break it. They could only wait anxiously outside. Earlier on, when they saw that there was someone else in Fengyue Brothel, they were all shocked. But when they saw that the other party was only a 1-star king, they immediately shook their heads and sighed, because such a person would not be of any use at all. He would only be killed. But when the other party successfully dispelled the murderous sound wave, they all cried out in alarm, because they did not know what method the other party had used to dispel the murderous sound wave. However, there were even more people who attributed what had happened earlier to luck. Luck had saved the other party. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.